Hospital porters' pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to this comments reply video. We're all reply to comments number 59. We're almost at the big 6-0. Yeah, this is a video in which I reply to your comments, hence the title. Now, the reason I make these videos, there's several reasons actually. Firstly, people watch my videos and they put comments on my videos. All my comments boxes are open, so people can just post whatever they like. When people do that, I feel obliged to reply, if only to say thank you very much and give them a brief response. Some of their comments are very long and require a very, very detailed response. And again, I feel obliged to do that, but I don't have time to do it by text. So every so often, I make these comments reply videos. Now, you might think, well, I don't want to watch a 9-hour video just to get a reply to one comment, Ben. You might think that. You see, you have to watch the video all the way through, you see. And my comments reply videos do tend to be very long. They're among the longest videos I make. However, firstly, you don't have to watch the whole video, because what I'll do, I'll put a time stamp underneath in reply to the comment I'm replying to, and it will say thank you very much for your comment. It will be answered approximately within, and I give you like first hour, second hour, third hour, etc. of the video, of the upcoming comment reply to comments video. So once I've done that, you know it's within an hour when your comment is going to be answered, and an hour is the longest you're going to have to watch. Second thing is my comments reply videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They've become much shorter over the last few years because I do them more often. Now, even if you do watch them all the way through, you don't have to. You have a timestamp. You could watch them all the way through if you want. I know a lot of you do watch them all the way through because you enjoy them. So that's another reason I do them, because you guys like them. They're very popular. They get plenty of views, and that's another reason for doing it. So that's basically the whole story behind the comments reply videos. So now I'm going to go straight to. The comments that I had since the last one. Reply to comments, which is until a while ago. Yeah, it's York. We're going back to York. We have Warbabe 1951 says on York, my video called York, very interesting. Well, thank you very much, Warbabe. I'm glad you liked it. I found York a very interesting place too. I had an excellent host and guide in the form of Lily Brunson, and I really saw some amazing things. And Warbabe 1951 also says on the same video, great video. Well, thanks very much, mate. Thanks very much, Warbabe. Reply to comments 58, part 1 of 2. First comment on that is, good evening, Ben, by Steve071. Good evening, Steve. How are you? Gary Robinson says on reply to comments 58, part 1 of 2. Evening, Ben. Mate, I'm pretty sure I contributed nothing of interest this month. Been watching all your videos, though, as usual. Cheers. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad you did, Gary, and whether or not you choose to put a comment in, that's up to you. I know you've put some in on this one. I saw them, you posted them, so it's entirely up to you. I appreciate if you do it, but if you just watch, again, that's absolutely fine. Sean Riddling says on reply to comments 58, part 1 of 2, something in Spanish, which I think is spam, so I'll just get rid of that. Remove. Winslow Burder says on the same video, I'm listening to the replies and hoping for a reply in the future. Always good to listen to you, Ben. Oh, Winslow, you'll get a reply. You're getting one this time. So thank you very much. We have Keith Thompson with more spam. Again, it's something in bloody Spanish with links. If it's like that, I know it's spam. Okay, same video, Gary Robinson. Hey, Ben, since you're a fan of Graham Hancock like myself, I thought you might be interested to know that my wife went to an ayahuasca retreat here in the north of Mexico a couple of weeks ago. All right. That's interesting. She was invited by 2 friends of hers who are dedicated yogis. That's people who do yoga. She spent the entire week preparing by avoiding coffee, meat, and a few other things. What was interesting is that on Saturday afternoon, her body began purging quite violently, which I thought was supposed to happen once you drank the ayahuasca. It's almost as if she was connected to it already. She got a few hours sleep before she had to set off for the retreat, and she was in a pretty bad shape at this point. Anyway, she ended up drinking it twice that night and had a mind-blowing experience. Her friends drank it and experienced nothing, which is most likely a result of them not preparing properly. In terms of her experiences, she told me how it presents you with an understanding of infinity and how we are born and reborn over and over again. It also showed how certain people in her life, including some of her friends, are tied to her for eternity and have been present in all her physical lifetimes. She was also able to look into people's lives and problems as if she were surfing the internet. Apparently the flow of information was so intense that she often couldn't delve into things very deeply, as it was just too overwhelming. She said that it made the surrounding grounds of the retreat look like the movie Avatar, as the grass and plants and the trees came alive with movement and colours. Lastly, she said that several different layers within the sky became visible. I'm guessing we can't see the separation in our normal state of consciousness. Interestingly, drinking the ayahuasca didn't make her throw up or shit herself. Cheers. All right, Gary. That's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me. It sounds like she had an amazing experience, and these things are always worth going to. I'm thinking of going to one in Ireland, actually, when I got the time and money. She started purging. Now, purging usually means that. It means throwing up and getting terrible diarrhea, which she didn't. So she got purged. She purged before that. Obviously, maybe you believe that purging means something different. Is it that she experienced certain symptoms before she took the drug because of the preparation she did? It could be that changing diet and lack of coffee would have had some effect. I don't know. But that's quite that is interesting. And the friends didn't prepare properly and experienced nothing when they drank it. That's very unusual that people experience nothing. But her description sounds very similar to what other people have said when they have when they take this substance. The spiritual, the incredible spiritual awareness it brings you. The way the surroundings look different, layers of the sky, things looking like Avatar. Yeah. But I'm glad when she took the drug, she didn't get this malaise that a lot of people get. But that's quite fascinating. And Gary says underneath, P.S. she gave me permission to share her story in your comments. Well, that's good of her. So thank you, Mrs. Robinson. Much appreciated. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. And thanks for sharing that with us through your husband and what he told us. I hope, obviously it will have long-term effects on you. I mean, it'll probably change your life. And you'll be kind of like, you may find hopefully you'll become a better person. That's what Graham Hancock experienced. So thanks for sharing that. Reply to comments 58, part 2 of 2. Steve071 says, I second your best wishes to Charles for a positive outcome. He's given us plenty of laughs and comments and replies and butted heads with you at times. All the best, Charles. Yeah, Charles is, as I explained actually on one of the live streams, Charles he's retired from YouTube and social media. I don't know how long for. It may be permanent. He doesn't know either. But Terry Joyce did a video explaining why that was. Part 1 of 2, Stephen Truthseeker says, I don't believe in politics. I believe in natural law. Natural law is built into the universe by the universal creator. No human being can represent me. All right, well, I'm glad you think so, Stephen. Yeah, that's very wise. Part 2 of 2, Stephen Truthseeker. AM worked with very powerful angel energies. She also had a spirit guide she was communicating with. AM was also skilled in telepathic connection and communication. Yeah, AM is a friend of Stephen's and mine who sadly passed away. I went to a funeral in Liverpool. This is connected to the angelic experience I had at the Outer Limits magazine conference, which I'll write an article about that actually in due course. So keep your eye on her HPANWO voice. One of 2, Steve Mumbling. Didn't waste any time. Greenwald has published all 1,500 pages on the Black Vault. There's very little on UFOs. Not the ones I'm talking about. I did check. I did check it, Steve, and Greenwald actually refers to the drop on Black Vault, but not these particular 1,500 pages. Now, where they are, the Sun hasn't published the rest of them. Whether other people can get hold of them, I don't know how FOIA works with that in that respect. But oh, it's bloody annoying, isn't it? Oh, we got a time. We now have a link from Steve Mumbling and 1 of 2. What's it saying? Oh, ads. What's this? Russian TV threatens nuclear annihilation with giant radioactive tsunami. Oh, for goodness
Российский
sake.
подводный робот-беспилотник «Посейдон».
Oh, this is this submarine. There's a submarine. Russia has a submarine with a nuclear underwater drone basically attached to it. As Steve says here, fluffy, compassionate people always get to run the KGB. Also, they assassinate or jail political opponents. You can't get more compassionate than that, can you? Well, firstly, the story about the Russian nuclear torpedo causing a tsunami and all that rubbish is just that. It's rubbish. It's propaganda, Steve. It's designed to make you terrified of and hatred for Russians and Russia. What it's designed to do is it's designed, for example, to the submarine would fire it at a battle fleet or something and blow it up and destroy all the ships. That's what it's designed to do. The KGB doesn't exist anymore. It's the FSB, the Russian State Security Intelligence Apparatus. The notorious KGB collapsed in 1991. It doesn't exist anymore. Yes, it was very brutal. It assassinated or jailed political opponents. Yet that's not the modern Russia. That is the Soviet Union. 2 of 2, Steve mumbling. Oh, so I didn't put a comment. I didn't put a reply to comments thing on there. Right, there you go, Steve. Steve mumbling says here, this is on 2 of 2. I don't consider myself a member of the skeptic community. I don't know any skeptics, nor do I attend any skeptic conferences, quote unquote. Well, you have them commenting on your video, though, Steve. You do. David, and including David Smith, who is here now. You say that, Steve, says David, but how do we know you haven't put on a disguise and gone to one? Where's your evidence? Yes, if I hadn't confessed to going to the Outer Limits magazine conference, who would ever know I'd been there? Of course, everyone said they knew I'd been there. Ever since I published the video, people say, "Oh yeah, we knew it was you all along, Ben. We knew it was you all along." But no one said that until after I put my video up. So they go and I think they're just rewriting history, as I predicted they would in the video, if you remember. I've also been contacted by the organisers saying, "Oh no, we sent you an invoice. You weren't banned," which I never. They sent me like a screenshot that could be just that they think is proof that they sent me an invoice, but I never received it. And well, I'm not going to accuse people of lying unless I can prove they are lying. But then I can't. There's nothing to indicate that they're telling the truth either. Either way, it's obvious they're trying to rewrite history to deal with this coup that I carried out, this gate crashing operation, this invasion that I carried out. 2 of 2. David Splendid Isolation says, Forbidden Planet is based on Shakespeare's The Tempest. It is, yes. Yes, it is. It is indeed. 1 of 2. Steve mumbling. So Jarrah earns a living from acting and YouTube. He's not a professional scientist. And after taking 12 years to get his bachelor's, he isn't going to be. No one is going to hire someone who took 12 years to get a degree as a scientist. Another thing that would exclude him from any scientific employment shortlist is his fake Apollo moon landings belief. They will think he's I can't say that word on YouTube. But the thing is, Steve, how long he took to study it is not relevant, really. If you think that's going to be a factor, well, you know, if he's not good enough for them, then they're not good enough for him. As for getting employment, do you believe his belief, as you call it, in the fake Apollo moon landings? Is that going to exclude him? Because if it's going to exclude him, you can no longer argue that we live in an era of free exchange of information. And in a sense, you just explains if hypothetically the moon landings were faked, how it would be. People would be made to comply. People would be tacitly compelled to comply. I made this point in my live stream about the aerial phenomenon, didn't I? Two of 2, Charles Scott. Charles says, I'm not having a go at you, Ben. I haven't fallen out with you. There's little point in commenting on your channel because you have repeatedly lied to me and been disrespectful in several ways. Example, I don't think I have, Charles. I've certainly not been disrespectful, and I haven't lied to you. I know we've disagreed about, what was it, about the documents you'd written. I speak the truth, Ben. I know you are a liar. You know you are a liar, and any sane and honest YouTube viewer knows you are a liar, given the proof of my comments in your reply to comments 40 and 40, 49, 48, 49, 50, part 2, and UFO Disclosure 2021. Charles, if this is to do with this is all to do with the formula, the article you sent me with the mathematical formula. Could you please remind me, because I've forgotten. I don't believe I've lied. I think if I remember rightly, you got angry with someone and you felt I was taking their side. I can't remember the details there. Oh, here we are. Here we go now. Looking at this, is a link here. It's not true, Ben, that I wanted you to ban anyone, and there's no argument to be had, as my testimony was verified as true. But that is Charles from Project Camelot. Repeated slanderous claims was proven false. All right, it was Charles. Yeah, it was Charles from Project Camelot. I remember the two Charleses. Charles Scott says, I've created 3 YouTube accounts, 2 account messages, and I've been spammed by someone, one of which can only be seen when I'm signed in, while the other has been deleted. The last account, a condensed message, has gone through to you. Oh, Charles, I'm sorry, I don't... What's all this about? I've forgotten, I'm sorry. If I've done you an injustice in any way, I'll apologise, but I can't remember what all this is about. I know you presented some kind of document with some mathematical formulae. Charles, the other Charles, said it wasn't true, and I used your article as a source document for UFO Truth magazine. My article. That's all I remember. I'm sorry. Oh God, here we go again. He's carrying on. Part 2 of 2, Charles Scott. In your A Person Goes to OLM comments section, I've replied to the Outer Limits magazine because if you saw the ticket invoice, this indicates you lied when you claim you were banned. Well, it's very simple. It's very simple, Charles. I didn't see the ticket invoice. It did not arrive. I applied 3 times. I received no reply at all. Not even, hey, well, Ben, I've sent it to you. Why are you asking again? If this is the case, says Charles, the implications of you dressing up in disguise as David Jones leads me to question your character. You may think I'm having a go at you, but I merely want you to consider why you have such a character. I've screenshotted all the comments in case someone deletes them. All right, I'm not going to be the one deleting them, Charles. Firstly, what does me dressing up as David Jones, my disguised character, and going to OLM say about my character? What harm did I do? All right, what disruption did I cause when I was there? In what way was the conference reduced in quality by my presence? Anyway, I'll wait till I get to the actual comment you make in that video. 2 of 2, Jack Parker. Ben, I can't lie to you about Donald Trump. He's just a man. I know that, yeah. You need to run back to video interview where he said he doesn't know anything. He doesn't really know anything about business. Not that he has to do anything but be a good man. Do you believe there were calls made to him to stop these people or any people that were in the White House and he refused to respond? Do you believe this? Do you believe he didn't have a clue as to what dissolution lot that might be in the White House? Sorry, Jack, I can't understand you. You're a bit incoherent here. The only punctuation marks you're using here, or use continuously, are ellipses, a couple of full stops, question marks. But I'm afraid you're not making a lot of sense. Could you clarify exactly what you mean? I know Trump is just a man. I don't think he's a god or something. Oh, right, it's Crafty Analysis reply, UFO Truth Magazine Conference 2019. This is a great one, this.
Dear Ben, found these unexpectedly in a charity shop. Number 20 to 38 of fake news.
Oh.
I need to add my...
Let me just show you
to photocopy them from my set. Please turn over. We hope you enjoy them. Lots of love. The Gestalt Entity,
yes.
aka the Crafty Analyst, aka Liz and Mark. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's Callanish. And these are like, oh wow, it's like cards of various events. Oh, wicked. Brilliant. Oh man, I'm not going to get them out now because I'll lose them. But it's like cigarette cards of the weird and wonderful things. Oh, that's going to be very entertaining. Thank you very much. And what else do we have here?
Oh man, Crafty, I'm so sorry. I really am sorry. It went completely out of my head. It was. What did I do with them? Oh God, I'm sorry. He said T-Bag cards. You said you'd never heard of them to some bloke on another video. I beg to differ. I had. I'm sorry. I had never heard of them. I do remember now. Now I've watched that. I remember now. Oh dear. Where are they? I did get them out and look at them and everything. I thought they were lovely, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Do you like my Porter's shirt, by the way? I've got this Porter shirt on. Haven't worn this for ages. Usually on special occasions, but I'm going to the St. Theo's party tonight, so that's something. But I used to wear this with great pride, this uniform. Into the Triangle, Jeff Sperry says, I must say, Ben, how wonderfully kind and generous of Mike and Rhiannon. Yes, they were lovely. I couldn't have made the video without them. York, Jeff Sperry. A funny thing is, the brainwashed NPC types would balk at the idea of displaying their own country's flag, but delight in displaying how virtuous they are by flying the yellow and blue. Yeah. Oh yeah, the people who would put up the Ukrainian flag, they probably wouldn't fly the Union Jack. It's like the new Pride flag, you know. The left-wing sort of thing, anti-royal, anti-patriotism. Reply to comments 58, part 1 of 2, Hugo Rune. My sincere apologies for ever mentioning cannabis on your page. I now realise that cannabis is lethal to the English story, Ben. To the English, sorry, Ben. Oh, God. Oh, it is. I'm Welsh anyway. And half Dutch, so I shouldn't have a problem with cannabis, should I? But you're entitled. You feel free to talk about cannabis, Hugo. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely great. You know, you're always welcome to talk about the demon weed. It's always nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, where was I? Right, yeah. Right, so same video, Hugo Rune again. Sorry, Ben, I must object. You keep saying Hugo stoned now. Hugo stoned now. You can tell, or some such. Honestly, Ben, my words are plain English. I cannot understand what about my words show that I'm stoned. Please be precise. But honestly, even your comment re the film Papillon and my comment that I like the film, then you commented that I must be halfway through my spliff. Half hour in. Yes, I know it was a joke, but you seem to think that I am stoned all the time. Perhaps I am. It's my medication. I use it so much, it's just normal. If you were to meet me with a spliff, you would not consider me to be stoned as in Cheech and Chong. Sorry, it is my medication. I sit here all day rolling up. I have over 20 spliffs ready in my tin. Sorry, but that is my last on my medication. I know that I'm the only patient in the region getting it prescribed. I now realise it is lethal to the English. Oh, Hugo, I mean no offence, Hugo. It's just something I've noticed about the style of your correspondence. That's all. I just notice you tend to speak or write in a certain style at certain times, which indicates you may be on something. Gary Robinson says, on a reply to comments 58, part 1 of 2, Hey Ben, I used to spend a lot of time in Oxford from the mid to late 90s through to the early 2000s, as I was just getting started in my music career. And one of the biggest drum and bass nights in the world is called Source. It used to be every Friday in Cowley Road. There was also a night called Depth Charge, which was in a pub in Cowley Road. I ended up having a big circle of friends in Oxford, so I was usually there every weekend, even if there were no events. I also used to have a girlfriend who lived just down the road from what I seem to remember was the Inspector Morse police station, which, so I seem to remember, was close to the little garden where Lewis Pedo Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland. Cheers, P.S. That's why I was asking about the Cowley Business Park. All right. Yeah. Now, it's possible we might have met, Gary. You never know. It was a long time ago, though, obviously. But we might have met. Our Source eventually became... What was it? I think that was what became... Not the Arena. Oh, another one. what was it called? Oh, I'm thinking it's now the O2. It used to have a different name. As for depth charge, I think that was at the Bullingdon Arms. Now, the Inspector Morse police station is on St Aldgate. It's the Oxford Central Police Station. That's where they filmed it, and she had she lived just down the road from there. That's in the city centre, in a posh area. All right, Gary. But thanks for sharing that with me. Much appreciated. That's really, really good of you, buddy. Yeah, good of you. Oh, so Gary's back. What was that? Here we go. Ben, mate, in regards to sneaking into supposed UFO landing spots that are now fenced off, there's a great channel on YouTube called Vacant Heaven, in which a team of guys in the UK regularly sneak into abandoned and derelict castles, houses, and stately homes. Yeah, in one of their videos, In one of their videos, they even managed to get inside an abandoned Rothschild mansion that was used in the filming of one of Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. With that in mind, I'm sure you'll be able to jump a few fences safely. Cheers. All right. Well, Gary, I've not seen that, but I like urbexing. Matthew Williams, of course, the Secret Vault. He does a lot of urbexing, urban exploration. It's a big thing here in the UK, actually, and he gets into a lot of secret places. He does. But I've not seen Vacant Heaven. I'll have to check that one out. Thanks, Gary. As for the Rothschild mansion, I bet they found a few weird things in there, I can tell you. Hugo Rune says, thanks for the memories of David. This is on 2 of 2. Thanks for the memories of David Bowie. Hi. I was a big fan of him in my youth. Must now go search YouTube after watching this. Yes, I'm halfway through another spliff. How can I tell, Hugo? I see post below wishing Charles all the best. What? Yes, I noticed him missing. We'll listen to see what's happening. Yeah. Well, no doubt you've heard the full story now, Hugo. It's sad. I'll miss him. I'll miss him a lot. 1 of 2, Gary Robertson. In regards to the Mandela effect, I often hear people claim that C-3PO gained a silver leg panel at some point as a result of the Mandela effect, which is now present in the movies and the toys. Being somewhat of a Star Wars expert, I can confirm that he always had a silver leg panel. I remember going on holiday to Spain when I was a kid, and had just started collecting the 3.75S. That's the Star Wars collector speak for the action figures. Oh yeah, they were 3.75 inches high, weren't they? I used to collect those too, and there were a number of stores by the beach that had the figures on display outside in the sun. They had a lot of C-3PO figures, and I remember over the course of the week they all lost their colour and turned the same tone of silver as the leg panel. I always liked my silver C-3PO. I thought he was very unique. That could have been because they were like in the sun, they got bleached. But you see, when people say I can confirm he's always had a silver leg panel, the thing about the Mandela effect, Gary, is whatever whatever you remember, which is correct right now, you can confirm has always been the case. I also can confirm that Looney Tunes has always been Looney Tunes. However, I remember very distinctly it being Looney Tunes. It's not just like I remember distinctly having conversations with my parents about what tunes meant. See what I mean? 2 of 2, Hugo Rune. Aspartame, don't touch the stuff myself. I'll stick with my lethal cannabis. Damn, sorry. Aspartame, I mean, aspartame is not very healthy now, but I do have it occasionally. I just can't keep worrying about things. At some point, I just have to roll the dice. I can't be like an orthorexic where I just don't touch anything except weed grass. And Hugo Rune on 2 of 2's put a timestamp. Mumbling. Have you and Charles fallen out, Ben? Have you and... Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Charles, it's sad that Charles just disappeared. It's, well, he has explained now. Like I say, he's put a comment explaining what was going on. Terry Joyce has made a video about it. And, well, I do hope he'll be back one day. I really do. Hugo says, that is sad. I enjoyed his comment. Steve Mumbling. Really, you are quite a sad man. Charles, come back soon. as at Steve071 said, good laugh with his comments, he will be missed. Yes, he's one of my you get a love heart, Hugo. He's one of my favourite viewers, actually, and the comments he puts on and things are just so cool. They're really, really cool. And he's such a laugh, because we got together because of the old Charles and the original Charles. It's Project Avalon and Bill Ryan's interview. Because like many people, I was lampooning this guy, and that's how we kind of found each other. Oh, right, this is Hugo Rune on 2 of 2. What's this? Is until a timestamp. Just as you cannot go back in time, there are no other dimensions. Sorry, Ben. All right, okay. Okay, here's Hugo. Onward. You dismiss my cosmology, and that is it. I don't dismiss it, Hugo. No. Sorry, Ben. I'll restate that. Please prove me wrong. Reality is 3 dimensions physical. There is no 4th dimension. Time is not a dimension. In my opinion, time is just a human construction, and it's just the now continuing. It is not a dimension. You can't go back or forward in time. Yes, I'm still stoned. Show me where Show me where in this post. I will show that. All right. Well, arguing with a pothead is a bit tricky, because they come out with all kinds of stuff. It's a bit like that scene in, I don't know if you've ever seen Human Traffic. Brilliant film, absolutely fantastic film, where there's these 2 potheads and they're high on something, and they're arguing. Oh my God, man, they're talking about Yoda in Star Wars, and they're going all crazy. Do watch that film if you've not seen it. It's very good. Time is not a dimension. Time, you can go forward in time. Indeed, it has been done. Valery Polyakov, the astronaut, actually travelled 1.7 milliseconds into the future. He did that by spending 13 months on the Mir space station in 1995 to 1996. This means he was travelling around the world continuously at 17,000 miles an hour, which did move him into the future, according to Einstein's theory of special relativity. I can't prove you wrong, Hugo, I can't. You may very well be right, but as for other dimensions, how do you explain the Higgs boson? Because that could only work in the model of particle physics where there is another dimension. Oh God, I'm out of my depth here, I must admit. All right, but let me know what you think about the Higgs boson. 2 of 2, Hugo Rune. If me being opinionated because I smoke cannabis is offensive to people, then I will shut up. Oh, Hugo, I'm not offended by you. You know, I mean, sometimes when you get a bit stoned, you get a bit belligerent, but you know, oh, goodness me, you know, I've had to put up with. There's nothing malicious about you, though, Hugo. I mean, I've had to put up with so much worse. You know, you've seen what I've had to put up with from some people. All right, Rod says here on 2 of 2, life is far too short to be taken seriously. Where did I get that catchphrase from? It wasn't me. I heard it somewhere. I didn't coin that phrase. I think it may have been. I think it may have been Dick Emery. I can't remember. He carries on. I enjoy your videos and will continue to watch them. I have never seen you personally attack another, so I am not sure why all the fuss or resentment from others. Why all the fuss or resentment from others? Well, good question, Rod. I think I'm a fairly harmless person, but obviously I do. Sometimes I will sometimes say things I think is true and other people don't. Very often it's to defend a person that I'm fond of, and other people don't like that. So I've made my fair share of enemies. Maybe I should go by Winston Churchill's adage. You know, if you make enemies, good. It means you stood for something in your life. So that's what I'm trying to do. Look on the bright side. Now, I put up a community notice, Charles from Project Camelot, and I just mentioning what I said about Charles from Project Camelot. David Splendid Isolation says, oh, what a shame. Yeah. I know, mate. But he may be back. He may be back sometime. And then we have a person goes to OLM. Oh, it's a first comment on this video this time. David says, David Splendid Isolation. Davy Jones's locker. Davy Jones, the Monkeys. David Jones Bowie. Is it David Jones Bowie? I can't remember. I'll explain why I met. The name David Jones came to me, and I went through several names, and I decided on that one for my fake character. 2 of 2, Steve mumbling. I strongly suspect that your dad wins every debate, but your seriously distorted view doesn't allow you to recognise that fact. Oh, well, you're wrong, Steve. You can suspect what you like, mate. I can't prove... Obviously, you've never met him, so you can't prove it. You seriously believe every media outlet except RT is lying? No. I believe that every media outlet has a bias. What's happened is we're only allowed one bias. We're only allowed to hear one bias. Why can't we hear them all? Ukraine is full of journalists from all over the world. If they were all lying, it would take one serious Western journalist to tell the story, and they would never have to work again. They would be on every TV channel telling the real story. Oh, and they would win every journalistic prize under the sun. Really, Steve? Come on, you are not that naive. You know that that's not what would happen. You know how a subject can be covered by a huge number of journalists, and once a certain narrative is established as the official one, very few of them will breach it. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe this. You see it with many political stories on TV and other kind of stories on TV and in the newspapers. You see it an awful lot. There will be an official narrative. There'll be one outside that official narrative, and most reporters will simply go along with the official one. There are exceptions, like in your country, Ross Coulthard. I think he's someone who does breach that narrative, and as a result, now he's become. See, he's one of the most famous journalists in Australia, and now he's now on the Woo bandwagon, and as a result, he's now outside that official area. If he'd done that earlier in his career, what do you think would have happened to him? And Steve carries on. Others would jump on the bandwagon to support their story. No, they wouldn't. They would laugh at them and poke fun at them. As I suspected, neither yourself or any other conspiracy nut claimed the war footage being shown was from video games has been able to provide a single example to support your ridiculous claim. Well, there's videos explaining this. There's articles explaining this. You see a piece of footage on one side from the news. On the other side, you see a clip from a computer game. It's been processed to make it look a bit different, but it's obviously the same image. I think Putin will be removed from within before too long, before he does any real damage to the rest of the world. I think there's huge efforts now to attack Putin. He's rather like Trump a few years ago. I hope he can resist. I hope he won't be removed, but it is possible. It is a possibility. They succeeded in getting rid of Trump. I hope not, obviously. But I don't think we've got to worry about Vladimir Putin doing any damage to the world. He's one of the few. He's one of the few statesmen on earth who's actually doing something to try and reverse the damage done by the globalists. The sorts of people that believe RT are the same sort of people that believe Trump. Well, here we go. Not very smart, extremely gullible, completely lack any critical thinking skills. Right, well then, if that were true, Steve, why ban it? Why ban it? Why not just let people watch it? If it's all nonsense, you've got nothing to worry about, have you? It'll very, very quickly exposed by the viewing public, who are intelligent thinking adults, are they not? And people hear both sides of the story. Publish the controversy, but no, they can't do that. The BBC and CNN and all these other ones, they all, like I said, no, let's ban anyone telling the other side of the story, because it's misinformation. What is real and what's not is decided by us alone, and you just believe us. You cannot seriously say that we're not being propagandized, Steve. You cannot possibly claim that does not constitute propaganda. It's just so obvious. A person goes to OLM, and here's Neil Peel, the Paranormal Peep Show. Hey, how you doing? Hi, Neil. I saw Neil at Probe, as you know. Now that has happened, Ben, and you have got feedback from OLM and others, do you think it was a success or a failed mission? Oh, success, Neil. Absolute success. From what I can perceive, it seems a fair few of those that know you knew it was you there. No one challenged you, probably because they just wanted the conference, which was hard enough to get going, to proceed as smoothly as possible. I was not there, of course, so that is what I'm guessing. Glad you found it interesting. At least you can socialise at Probe as you. Yeah, that's true. At least I could be myself, couldn't I? For goodness for that, I could walk around and be normally. I don't think that's the case though, Neil, because you say that they knew it was me, but they wanted the conference to go as smoothly as possible. Well, I wasn't actually stopping it going smoothly at all. I was just sitting there watching it. And what's more, nobody said a single word on social media about this. Nobody even mentioned me until after I published the video you've been watching. Then they all came out and said, oh yeah, we knew it was you, Ben, all along. We all knew it was you. Yes, you weren't banned. I sent you an invoice. Everyone knew it was you. We just didn't say anything. We thought you'd get you one of it. As I predicted they would in the video, Neil. I predicted they would do that in the video. It was great fun, actually. It was great fun. Charles from Project Camelot, this is my community notice. No good deed goes unpunished, says Tina. Isn't that a fact? And Sonara's Ashtree says, that's a shame, he was funny. Yeah, it is, wasn't it? It was very sad, Sonara. Yeah. Reply to comments 57. It's an old reply to comments video. Liam Nicklin says, Chris Everard says that mojos are spirits that lurk above doorways and look like cracks in the wall or the plaster. Yeah, that's from Spirit World, one of the Spirit World videos. Yep, they're good. They are. They're good. I've got them all on DVD. They do this because they crave life again and wait for people to walk through the doorway so they can drop onto their heads and gain entry into the body and possess the person. That is why most churches and cathedrals have triangular doorways, so the mojo cannot linger on them and slips off. He also captured one on film when he said all this. I thought it was fascinating. Very, Liam. Yeah. He actually, the mojo is filmed, it's actually a photograph, and it's taken in a pub, a beer garden, and it's very, very creepy indeed, because you see some people sitting there drinking, and one of them has a pair of small hands grabbing his hips. You know the bit I'm talking about. Yeah, and that's very creepy. Now, as for the reason churches and cathedrals have triangular doorways is actually to do with the architecture. It's if you're building in stone, then it's the most stable structure you can produce, because you're dealing with a material which is very heavy. It has a tensile strength which is very low for its volume, and it's very inflexible. It's brittle. Triangles or arches are your ideal shape for something which has to be suspended. The mojos, they won't slip off something because of the shape of it. They are not physical. They're spiritual, but they're a kind of ghost. So it doesn't really make any difference. But they do tend to target people who have addictions, for example, alcoholism, which is maybe why they hang around pubs. A person goes to OLM. TK, wow, how you laugh about the blue tie. It was in their face the whole time. You are like the Illuminati. Oh my goodness me. Was it Nietzsche said, TK, when you make war against monsters, be careful that you yourself do not become a monster. Yeah, I mustn't make a habit of this, TK. I really mustn't. But this is just a one-off, mate. It's just a one-off. Job done. I've proved my point. That's I think that's all that matters now. Okay, Paul Hargreaves has written on York. Oh, we have a timestamp here.
Those narrow windows there, those little slits.
Oh,
those are...
Okay. He says that building is 8-sided, Templar built. Yeah, there's a lot of Templar architecture in York. Even the Minster actually has a Templar-like feel to it. It has a slightly Middle Eastern look on it, especially on the towers. And 8-sided, yeah. Octagons or rotundas tend to be Templar built, yeah. If they're dated from the Templar period, which is like around about the 11th or 12th century. The Templars were purged in the 13th century, if you remember, on the 13th of Friday the 13th. Yeah, 13th of October, my birthday. There's the community notice about Charles. Dark Corners says, that's sad to hear. Good luck in the future, Charles. Thanks, Dark Corners. Crafty Nihilist said in on the community notice, gutted. If you read this, Charles, I'm on, and she gives her email here. Liz gives her email. Liz Crafty gives her email there. On the notice, Tim the Pigeon Master. Sadness takes my heart. I'll miss him too. You know, I'll miss him too. Jam Noise says, take care, Charles. On that notice, thanks, Soul Sister. That's a lovely thing to say. Reply to comments 58, part 2 of 2. David's Blended Isolation. Ben, I just need to clarify regarding the day the Earth stood still. It wasn't Klaatu that was threatening the Earth. It was completely out of his hands. It was for his own planet. Ages ago, they put overseer robots into place to deal with anyone making war, even themselves, thus taking the issue out of their control. Klaatu explains this, and thus the need for Earth to conform, otherwise the automated system put into place will once again be activated. So just wanted to make it clear that it wasn't Klaatu and his people threatening to destroy the Earth. They didn't have the power to themselves and were sympathetic to Earth and its survival. Oh, thanks, David. You know, I realise that now. This came up during the live stream, and I'm aware of that now. Yeah, I am. Klaatu Klaatu wasn't Gort's boss. Gort was this robot that operated independently from Klaatu. Yeah. Part 58, 2 of 2. BZ Garson. Here we go. The two most idiotic things I've heard in a long time. 1. RT is the only source of truth. 2. Putin is a compassionate person. Ben in awe of authoritarians. And firstly, I never said RT was the only source of truth. I said it was the other side of the story that we're being banned from hearing. 2. Putin is a compassionate person. Well, yes, he is. Yes, he is. He cares. He's a leader. He's a leader of his people and a leader of his country. And the Russian nation and the Russian people are lucky to have him. He leads his country. He doesn't do what Boris and Biden and all that lot do. You know, they don't lead their country. We represent you in the global community. David Smith says, yeah. Oh, David's going to say something sarcastic, I think, as he always does. Yeah, this continues to baffle me. It can't possibly be sociopaths chasing money, power, and wealth that brings about so much suffering. No, it's actually a battle between the New World Order and the good guys, who happen also to be chasing money, power, and wealth. Well, there's a kind of, I think there is it's more kind of Lord of the Rings than Game of Thrones, I think, David. You see, there, I don't believe if President Putin was chasing money, power, and wealth, well, he wouldn't be doing this. He'd be sucking up to the globalists just like the rest of the world does, just like Biden, Boris, Macron, Trudeau, all these other little squits do. You see, so why is he doing this? Why is he would only do this if he actually really cared about what's happening with his country. So it is a battle between the New World Order and the good guys. Sure, there are people involved who are doing this for selfish reasons, Game of Thrones style, but it's far more of a Lord of the Rings situation here. This war is being fought over a principle. The principle is the right for a nation to self-determination from the global state, the deep state. That's what this is all about. So they happen to be chasing money and power and wealth, but they want it for good, to build walls and stop the great substitution. I can't say the R word, because being a minority is bad, but only if you're white, etc. They don't, to build walls. Well, I don't know who's, in this situation, who's going to build a wall, and Russia doesn't need, I think you may be referring to the wall on the Mexican border, which was necessary. As for the great substitution, unlike many people in distant circles, I don't believe that is actually the objective. I believe it's a strategy rather than the end goal. It's no doubt it's happening. I mean, but it's not because it's not because the bad guys just don't like white people. It's not. I think they regard all humans as mere farm animals, whether you're black, white, or any other colour. It's obviously a strategy of some kind. I mean, the idea is not. I'm not in denial about it. It's happening, all right, but I think for different reasons than many people in distant circles think. David Smith carries on. And apparently they are the good guys. Lol. I'll keep saying it. Oh, who are the good guys? I think President Putin is a good guy. I'll keep saying it. I don't believe in any new world order, but those who Ben supports are really good at the divide and conquer game. No, they are good at cutting through that. Anything remotely, he carries on, counter to that gets put into the woke leftist liberal socialism communism bucket. No explanation or evidence required. Just dump it in there and move on. Very honest and diligent. I'm not sure what you mean by that, actually. But I support people who are good at the divide and conquer game. Not really. The figures I've supported, the figures I've looked up to within the political world, tend to be people. I think it is Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Boris Johnson originally before he lost it. They're not the ones playing that divide and conquer game. It's actually the globalists that are playing that divide and conquer game. And anyone remotely counter to that gets put into this bucket. Now, I don't put everything immediately counter to those people into the woke leftist liberal socialism communism bucket. Those words have distinct meanings. They have a distinct definition. Some of what they go against is that. I mean, for some people, for example, don't like Trump because he doesn't tell white people to hate themselves. Well, that's wokeism. That's liberal leftist socialism. That's cultural Marxism. And yes, I put it in that bucket. But other people don't like him for other reasons. That's not really fair at all. That's a generalisation that doesn't apply to me, I believe. 2 of 2, Charles Scott. Clearly someone is lying. You state, Ben, you were banned, officially or unofficially, are attending this year's Outer Limits magazine conference, and so you went to the conference in disguise as David Jones. Yes. Several people in the comments section of your A Person Goes to OLM state that you were not banned from attending this year's conference. I'm currently investigating to see if I can work out who is lying, and I hope to post here again within a week with an answer. Well, I shall look forward to that, Charles. You will find those people writing in the comments section of A Person Goes to OLM and state that was not banned, but I challenge you to find any statements at all from anyone on this matter along those lines before I uploaded A Person Goes to OLM. They're doing what I predicted they would do in the film. They are backtracking. They are rewriting. They're rewriting their own history. The organizer Chris Evers is claiming that he sent me an invoice. I never received it. He sent me what looks like a screenshot from a page of his payment app with my name on it. Well, I'm not going to accuse the guy of lying without proof, but I can mock up one of those on Windows Paint. Nothing, absolutely. What about before I published that video? Can you find anything? Oh, and here, speak of the devil. 2 of 2, Outer Limits magazine. Please, Ben, please send me proof of the email requests. I only use one of the email addresses, which is the one used by non-subscribers to order tickets very sparingly, once or twice a month. Which is likely why I never saw your request until the 1st of March. I immediately responded with an invoice to you, which was due to be paid by the 8th of March. I'll repeat it here, Ben. I do not have a problem with you, but please, if you come again, don't dress up like that. Lol. That's for Victor Nevada. Oh dear. Well, what am I supposed to prove? I have all I can prove is I sent you email requests. I have them in my email. I sent them to the email address on the website which you send off to get your invoice. I don't know why you can't just order tickets direct via something like Eventbrite. I never received. You say you immediately responded to me. Whatever you sent to me, and this is 3 times I wrote, was not sent. Whatever you sent to me, it didn't appear in my email, which is strange because it should be a simple reply situation. I don't have a problem with you either, Chris. I think I do. As you know, I don't think it was fair to ban me from the first conference. And I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by the explanation you provided that this is the case. I mean, I'm not going to to just flat out call you a liar, because I can't prove that any more than you can prove my side of the story. But if I come again, I won't dress up like that. No, I mean, I assume now that I can just come as I am. And besides, it was very uncomfortable. I mean, it was a necessity, which I won't repeat. And Victor Nevada, and Andrew Burlington, Andrew, I know, and I know he's a controversial figure in our community. I think he's right. I think he's right about that alien interview video. I've written an entire article about this. It's very different to the alien autopsy. The investigators have found nothing. They've been shaking that tree for years and nothing's fallen out of it. It is mute. It is anonymous. The idea that somehow it was faked, it was created in a studio, just doesn't make sense. And I think Andrew is right to say that. Charles Scott says underneath, can you provide evidence that you sent Ben a ticket invoice or any other evidence he was not banned from attending OLM 2022? A photo, screenshot, audio and hyperlink proving this would be appreciated. If you cannot provide evidence, it doesn't necessarily mean you are lying. Yeah, Chris has provided me with that evidence. He's provided me with what looks like a screenshot of a payment app, which has my name on it, indicating that an invoice was issued in my name. That's what it looks like. I'm not going to go around to Chris's house and stand looking over his shoulder, and where he shows me the payment app, and I can see that it's real. It's not just a mock-up from Windows Paint or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. Charles says something. Hello, Chris. At least that's what Ben calls you. I've sent an email to your official OLM website email address. Thanks. Charles then continues. These are all replies to Chris of Out Limits magazine from Charles. Thank you for your help. I've concluded beyond reasonable doubt that Ben is lying and people of OLM are telling the truth. See Ben's reply to comments 58 part 2. I've screenshotted them just in case comments get deleted. Well, like I said, I'm not deleting any comments. I only delete spam and rudeness. Here we go. The Apollo Detectives 10 debunking the debunkers. Tor Engen says, I found a way to convince all the skeptics that the moon landing was fake. You only need to use the same method that all the skeptics use. If you can fake it, then it's fake. No more evidence are needed. I've seen video from Rammstein named America. You see they are walking on the moon, but they're just faking it. So follow the divine skeptics' practice of proving this thing a fake. Rammstein have faked the moonwalk, therefore NASA moonwalk is also fake. All right, Tor, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or joking. I happen to believe the NASA moonwalk was fake. The Rammstein video America, it's a very good video actually, which kind of takes the mickey a bit out of the whole conspiratorial angle. Plus, it's a satirical. It's actually a satirical song about the globalization of American culture and things like that. It's a great song, actually. We're all living in America, America. It's wunderbar. If you translate the lyrics, actually, you find that it's actually not about, and it's got no relation to the video. It's just a song about dancing. It's strange. 58 part 2 to Charles Scott again. If this is a repeat, hang on, this is a. Alright, Charles Scott, I thought this might be a copy of one of his, he cuts and pastes a lot of things and repeats them. Ben, on the assumption you were emailed a ticket invoice for OLM 2022, can you provide evidence stating after receiving invoice that you were banned attending? If you were never received an invoice, can you provide any evidence that you were banned? A photo, screenshot, audio and hyperlink proving this would be appreciated. If you can't provide evidence, it doesn't necessarily mean you are lying. I can't know, I didn't confront, maybe. People generally don't do this. I didn't want another direct confrontation with Chris saying, look, am I banned or not? Because, then he would, I don't know what he would have said. I could have just asked him straight out, look, am I banned? I'm writing to you for an invoice. I haven't received it. Am I banned or not? But, I just felt, it's felt like, I don't want to go to that extreme. Maybe I should have done. Maybe that's what I should have done, Charles. I don't want to go to that level. However, it's hard to judge even my own feelings at this point. I'm not the only one who does things like this. After writing 3 times and receiving no reply, and after the experience of the first OLM conference, I just thought, well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I'm obviously, they're obviously like, it's a nudge in the ribs. I mean, this sort of thing has happened to me before, where I write off and I just get no reply at all. That is an hour done. That is 1 hour up. I'm using the online counter. Okay, there we go. Right. So, ladies and gents, that's an hour done already. So I'll be back with hour number 2 coming up. Okay, guys, I'm back for part 2. It's feeling like the next moment for you. It's actually the next day for me. Actually, I could only do 1 hour last night, and I went out to celebrate St. Theo's Day with my proud and dignified brother Porters. And I came home really late, and a little bit worse for the wear for drink, as what happens when they get together. You know, when hospital porters get together, that inevitably happens. You know, you get drunk just being in their company. You know, the alcohol vapor just wafts it through your skin if you just sit with them. So I got home and I thought I'll leave it till tomorrow. So it's Saturday now, and I'm back. So where was I before I so rudely interrupted myself? Well, channel. Here we are. This list of comments. Alright, Stephen Truthseeker said something very interesting here on Weird Weekend North Part 1 of 2. I think the Manchester Pusher is a paranormal entity. Now, I've actually been looked into this a bit more, and several people question that, including a viewer, someone who was at the conference who actually viewed my video, has actually questioned that, and claims that it's basically a statistical anomaly, that is, and it's not actually really a paranormal, it's not really actually a murder hotspot in the canals. People fall in, they get drunk and things like that, but there's nothing specifically unusual going on. I'm not sure, having watched some of the cases in particular seem a little bit David Paulides, but you know, where there's one where strange noises could be heard and things like that on the phones. I'll look into it, Stephen. You may be right. But this guy has given me something to think about. Same video, Stephen Truthseeker. If the Lily White Boys, that sounds a bit rude. Oh, what the bloody hell happened there? Oh, hang on. Let's go back. Hang on. Oh, oh dear, I'm going to have to. I'll have to scroll back down again. Oh dear. Anyway, the Lily White. Just to give you a bit of background, the Lily White Boys are apparently a secret. It sounds a bit kind of like a bit. I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of how do I say it politely? Sort of well-dressed men who like musical theatre, shall we say, who they may feel very much at home in that little place by the canal I showed you, but no, the Lily White Boys are actually a secret society which is said to hold rituals in the Wirral area. And Stephen says here, if the Lily White Boys were seen at Aintree in '82, the ones on the Wirral were seen by the guy who told me about the 1990-91. In the end, the part where they was dancing in the park was tarmacked over and turned into a children's playground by the council. That's a shame, isn't it? Because that happened with Rua, didn't it? The area where the UFO was seen is basically, it was bought up by the school and turned into another playing field. The last I heard, they got chased away by a police helicopter. All right. Obviously, they're doing something illicit there, aren't they? York. Zephyrin Cochrane. Thanks, Ben. I loved the episode. Oh, you're welcome, Zephyrin. Glad you liked it, mate. And on my community post about Charles, Steve071 says, "Bye, Charles. Enjoyed the banter." I think we're all very sorry to see him go. I'm very sorry to see him go, and yeah, I'm going to miss him. He really has been a really great contributor to the internet in general, and to my channel especially. Lisa Croyfried. Hello, Lisa. How are you? On York. Everything seems to go back to the apparent Tartaria in these times. The conversion from good to evil, the displacing of crystals and taking over for the ultimate control. Love hearing you and Lily together. Oh, thanks, Lisa. It was great. It was great to meet Lily, and she was cool. Now, Tartaria, you have to go to a video which some of you, the title alone will put some of you off. It's called The Secret History of the Flat Earth. It's about 7 hours long. Now, I don't believe the Earth is flat. I think the flat Earth theory is rubbish. But you don't have to. I don't think you have to be a flat Earth believer to to enjoy this particular video, because it comes up with information that is relevant whether you believe in the flat earth or the globe earth model. As a globalist, I could appreciate it, but it does. I'm not saying everything within it is true, but it raises some interesting questions about even the falsification, the gross falsification of even recent history, talking early 20th century onwards. They talk about the Chicago World Fair and where it really comes from, things like that. You may think it's not possible to falsify things like that. Well, look how easily they falsify. They can falsify anything now, it seems. It's literally if they like I said that I said this in my Nottinghamshire Roswell video. If a UFO crashed in the middle of a city centre, would they be able to get away with covering it up? If they put out a news story saying a bouncy castle broke loose, how many people would believe it? And Lisa says on reply to comments 58 part 2 of 2, if you decide to come to Chester, Ben, please let me know and we'll do lunch. That would be great, Lisa. It'd be great to see you again. I haven't seen you for bloody years. Okay, with the UAP US Congressional Hearing live stream, Pink Cleland, all Gothic writing now. Oh, Rick Cleland, sorry, says there's three kind of scream emojis. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Rick. UAP Congressional Hearing live stream. Marley Pumpkin says, oh God, here we go. Yet another childish UFO video about nonsense. Everyone is being banned on this website except you. All your videos are childish nonsense. That's the second time you said childish nonsense. Get a thesaurus, please. And you are the only one left standing, you MI5 shill. Also, your radio show has few guests. People are smelling a rat. How do I start? Well, firstly, saying something is childish nonsense doesn't prove it right. And everyone being banned on this website except you. Well, you may have escaped your attention. I have had videos. I've had a community guideline strike for something I didn't do. I've had, how many videos have I had removed now? 3? Is it 4? I recently had my Molyneux 9/11 video removed. I had Jews taken down for hate speech when there's no hate speech in it at all. And of course, there's the Boris and Trump video, which not only got removed, but it got me the community guideline strike for what? I've watched that video 3 times, but I've watched it back to me. What have I done wrong in that video? Of course, they don't tell you, do they? So, and I have actually been shadow banned. I explained why. So even though my channel is still here for now, I have actually had my videos are very, very much reduced in visibility. And I'm an MI5 shill. Oh, dearie me. Oh, we have a shill head amongst us. He's a shill, she's a shill, everyone's a shill. So, Marley Pumpkin, or are you Richard D. Hall? I don't know, maybe you are actually Richard D. Hall. If so, Richard, shave. All right, have a shave. It doesn't. The goatee beard doesn't suit you. My radio show has few guests. People are smelling a rat. If you look through my my recent radio shows, I've actually on my 400. I've done show 465 on Thursday night. I had Steve Bassett. I've got another guest next week. I've got loads of people interested in it, and people love it. So you're bloody idiots. You should, Marley. Your idiotic ranting here is just making you look like a fool, because everything you say is false. You are a shill shamer, and you talk nonsense about me, and you say unfalsifiable subjective opinions about me. I don't give a shit what your stupid opinions are, and you don't prove anything wrong with an opinion, so fuck off. Charles from Project Comlot, Be the Truth says, love to Charles, love you also, Ben. Sad, huh? Yeah, it is. And UAP, US Congressional live stream hearing. The last card, said David. Splendid isolation. Yes, Carol Rosin. Is that where we're heading? We got to be wary for that. Like I've said before, David, this is a possibility we have to be continuously on our guard for. I don't think we should assume it, because it really, as I think I said in the video, if we do, it's an opportunity. We will lose the most important opportunity our planet has ever faced. But at the same time, we must not in any way think that that's not going to happen. Diego Rivera says on the congressional live stream, that was longer than the Eurovision Song Contest. At the end, a nil point for the song. Oh, dearie me. Well, just, I don't know, go and watch Ukraine then. Go and watch Ukraine singing their drivel. David's Splendid Isolation says, everyone knows that the UK won that. What a shame a winning song came along the same year as a massive virtue signalling over Ukraine. Exactly, David, exactly. The Eurovision Song Contest it's always put politics ahead of anything else. I mean, the songs, very, very few of the songs are any good. Most of them are just really, really bad, with lots and lots of cliched kind of riffs and lyrics and things like that. You get the occasional good one, but, this Bucks Fizz, they're one of the few things to come out of Eurovision Song Contest. About that, do you remember when Britain came last? I remember, and they were down. They got 0 points down there with Turkey, and it was during the Iraq War when they wanted to condemn the UK for the international community wanted to condemn the UK, and they used the Eurovision Song Contest to do it. Mind you, come to think of it, maybe that's not true because it was a really awful song. Congressional hearing, Joe Glover. Love your UFO command centre, Ben. Thanks, mate. Thanks. You didn't see the bit with Russell's thing. We have here congressional live stream. Steve mumbling. It may be there a Star Wars type civilization closer to the centre of the galaxy, where the stars are only 2 light weeks apart. The problem is they're 25,000 light years away. Now, I don't know why that has to do with anything, though, Steve, because it's true that if stars are close together, you would indeed, it would make interstellar travel much easier, of course, because travelling to other stars would be like travelling to the planets in our solar system. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be a lot easier than it is here in the western spiral arm of the galaxy, the unfashionable end, as they said as Douglas Adams said. If they have only had a detectable technology for 20,000 years, we won't know about them for another 5,800 years. And they won't know about us for another 25,700 years. Personally, I think technological species are out there. They have to be. That doesn't mean I believe they've been here. Well, you shouldn't believe they've been here, Steve, unless you've seen the evidence. And the evidence does indicate that they have. This doesn't mean that they may not be travelling using going through normal space below light speed. They may have found a way to break that barrier. We know that such things exist in theory. The Einstein-Rosen bridge, the wormhole, where you can actually bypass space itself, does exist. And you see, a lot of things that exist in theory have been proven in practice. For example, black holes. Black holes originally only existed as theoretical models. They were extrapolated to exist because of what we knew about the universe. Then they were detected by astronomers. We found a number of black holes now. I think the same goes for this. The UFOs may well be travelling through wormholes, the Einstein-Rosen bridges, from distant galaxies, or even from closer areas, stars close to us. They may be coming from parallel universes as well. They're probably coming from many, many different places. And Steve Mumbling says it replies to Tits and Bum Tabloid, who I can't see for some reason. He's a funny guy, that's for sure. He's no serious researcher, though. Any serious researcher would have put a line through LMH and Bigelow a long time ago. Would you stop talking about Professor Brian Cox, Steve Mumbling, and Tits and Bum Tabloid? Alright, and then we can go up here to Congressional Livestream. Oh, I already skimmed the word Piffle Peddlers is here. Steve Mumbling is back. Bigelow has zero credibility. No, he doesn't. His ET material turned out to be terrestrial industrial waste. No, it didn't, Steve. Terrestrial industrial waste has an isotopic ratio, indicates it was found here on Earth, and also it is a kind of alloy which is made by foundries here on Earth. So the chap is not talking bollocks at all. I'm afraid if you mean Brian Dunning, yes, he is talking bollocks. Linda Moulton Howe gave a sample of Bigelow's ET material to a lab to be analysed, and when it came back as terrestrial industrial waste, she refused to publish the results. Actually, Steve, if you listen to it was actually a recent Earth Files episode, and I know because I downloaded and ripped the audio from my earphones on my trip to probe, so I can listen to something when I'm going to probe. Excuse me. She actually doesn't say that. She says that that's not what happened. The lab didn't. That lab did not come back. Also, the best Bigelow could come up with after years at the Skinwalker Ranch was an image of a creature cribbed from an 80s B-movie called Extro. Are you saying he falsified evidence? Now, the whole thing about Skinwalker was frustrating because, when the Sirius team moved in there, they did find a paucity of events that people have been describing. The family that ran the place, and what they described was far more alarming than what was actually gathered by the team. From the NIDS team. But there's been another episode. You may have noticed there's been a new series about Skinwalker Ranch. It's under new management now. And they have actually discovered a lot of interesting things. It's worth watching the new series, Steve. Bigelow, I should say, you really ought to watch Patient 17 when it comes. If you think that if you're talking about terrestrial industrial waste being confused with ET material, I suggest you watch that. I really do, because you will change your mind, I hope, unless you're in complete denial. Put a line through LMH and Bigelow. They're professional and piffle peddlers. I will do no such thing, because neither of them are that. Congressional hearing live stream. Steve mumbling again. Only 2 of my 3 comments appeared in the stream chat box. Well, I don't know why that is, Steve. The truth seekers hiding the truth again. Oh, shut up. I'm no longer going to entertain your dogged fantasies about people trying to censor you. I mean, you just go on about this science fiction narrative, blah, 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 you hide the truth. No one is deleting your comments, Steve. I'm not going to read out any more comments you make about me censoring you or deleting your comments. I'm not going to read out, because I explained to you exactly why I'm not doing that, and you just ignore me. Or you either ignore me, you either don't hear me, or you'll pretend not to hear me. So there. What happens is some of your comments do end up in the spam folder, and I go through there every couple of days and liberate them. See how we are living. That's a good name. Says on live stream, congressional live stream. We ordered a nothing burger. If I wanted collaborated assumptions on unknown unknowns, I'd have asked for a bullshit burger. Unfortunately, it was a bit like that, wasn't it? See how we were living. Yeah. I was frustrated with them. I think that there were honest people in the actual committee. There were actually honest people, such as Representative Gallagher. Congressman Gallagher. He asked some really good questions. So did Congressman Krishna Murthy. And the fact that Bray and Moultrie they sort of like just shrugged, Gallagher asked him about the Malmstrom incident, and they, not heard of that. Moultrie and Bray, no, not heard of that. The AIM-SOG doesn't deal with things like that. What are you talking about? This is a very well documented invasion and interference with America's strategic nuclear deterrent, by an unknown aerial phenomena. So how the hell does AIM-SOG not know about that? Okay, Tim the Pigeon Master. It's a link here, a YouTube link. What's this? What's this? Great and unfortunate things. Oh, it's a music video. Oh, it's a music video. Oh, thank you very much, Tim the Pigeon Master. It's just a little music video. Okay, well, I'll check that out later. Congressional hearing, Mel Browning. Funny, so perhaps the new US Navy UAP footage is simply a fighter jet passing a weather balloon. Yeah, a weather balloon filled with swamp gas, no doubt. And perhaps holding up a flying lighthouse. Mel, I'm sure they have better footage than that. I'm sure they do. In fact, Elizondo has constantly claimed that they have better footage in their arsenal than that. Other insiders have said something similar, and that what they let the public see at these public hearings is just a taster. So the truth embargo doesn't indicate the truth embargo is going to end from this event alone, does it? But Steve Bassett actually said this. I'll actually put the interview on HPANWO TV as well. Starting to be coming up pretty soon. Bassett actually said, that this is just the first of many hearings that are coming, and we are going to have to be patient. There is better things coming. Congressional hearing live stream. James Henry Smith. Aliens are known to be real. They come up from Mexico and Central America. I call the others space hell aliens, but they're only alien to the atheists, not the theists. Well, Yeah, the term alien actually, it's maybe it's a bad word because it is often used. It is a synonym of foreigner. And indeed, you often get like in countries where they can't translate English very well. I remember in France, I arrived at France once, and there was a special customs. There was like there were two customs lanes. One was said French, it said French people. The other said aliens. I remember when I was a kid, and we had a laugh about it. It was a school trip. We had a laugh about that. Maybe we should think of something new, and maybe other languages have different words for what we call space aliens, as opposed to foreign people from other countries. You know, Mexicans coming across the border and things like that. Congressional hearing, Steve mumbling. Biden just thinks the alien stuff is all rubbish, just like Trump. Well, Trump doesn't, but Biden's pathetic. He's pathetic. I mean, he just goes. It's an indication of how weak and completely divorced that guy is from the position he's supposed to be holding. He was asked a question at a press conference and about UFOs, and they mentioned that Obama had talked about it informally on a TV show. It was actually the James Corden show, wasn't it? And Biden goes, "Oh, you'll have to ask President Obama," and he walks off. He hobbles off the stage. Congressional hearing, Steve mumbling. So Eric Davis now says the Wilson incident never happened, just like Wilson, and more fabricated rubbish. Are you sure that Admiral Wilson is telling the truth? You do realise that if Admiral Wilson is in that position, he has to say that. You see, if he's dealing with classified material that's been leaked, he has to say that. As for Eric Davis is, Richard Dolan interviewed Eric Davis originally, just like he interviewed Kit Green, and both those guys changed their stories. So now you can choose to believe what they're saying now, if you want, or you can choose to believe what they said earlier. But we only have their word for it. As John Greenwald points out, the actual document itself, there's some problems with it, with the details of the document, that it indicates it's not actually a real government document. If it needs more evidence, it needs more analysis. Maybe some people will disagree, but either way, it has been entered into the record at the hearing, if you remember. And there were no objections. Steve Mumbling says again on hearing live stream, the alien interview and Penturk are two excellent examples of stories that should be discarded as rubbish very quickly. You don't have to worry about your reputation, Ben. Any serious investigators, including these guys, if they're aware of you at all, know you are as gullible UFO fanboy that happily spruiks science fiction stories as truth. That's your reputation. I don't... Oh, for goodness sake, Steve. Again, lots of adjectives, lots of rhetoric, very few actual points you make here. Firstly, let me just go through them. The alien interview and Penturk are two excellent examples of stories that should not be discarded as rubbish, and I've explained why. Now, you call these guys serious investigators. If you mean Moultrie and Bray, if they're aware of me at all, they may... You think I'm a gullible UFO fanboy, etc., etc., etc. That's not my reputation. That's what you think. Just like I think you're a closed-minded skeptic who's in denial. But they may well. I mean, sometimes people like that say things. And I think, oh, they've been watching my channel. David Smith says underneath, claims are often equated as evidence for Ben. It seems no, they are not. They are equated as evidence in the sense that they are evidence that needs to be put on board. And if people say something, they say something happened, why should we just believe them any more than we should believe them? It's not proof, but it is evidence, yeah. So claims are evidence. So I do equate them. I take his point on board how some people don't want to believe, but usually such people have other beliefs standing in the way. Religion, for example. Yes, or the skeptic milieu. Whereas I think in the case of Ben, he really, really wants to believe or needs to for various reasons. Oh, very, 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 very astute of you, Dr. Freud. Let me just lie back down on the couch, shall I? I'm biased, yes. I have a confirmation bias. I quite like the idea that there are aliens. I do think it makes the universe more interesting to think that we're not alone, and not only is there life out there, but there's life everywhere, and it's here now. It's found us. I do like that idea. Just like some people feel the opposite. They feel uncomfortable and afraid with the idea that we're not alone. What I do is I'm aware of my own bias, my own confirmation bias, and I try to be objective to try and overcome that within myself. Skeptics, on the other hand, most of them don't understand that they have confirmation bias. They say things like that being a skeptic is not being in a belief movement, any more than the off switch is a TV channel. Well, I've indicated in my skeptic talk recently at Sufon and many other places, David, that that's not the case. They are zealots, they are true believers. Brian Dunning is a true believer. He goes on, this is why he can't address the actual skeptical position of not accepting it as true until good evidence is shown. What are you talking about? I have accepted that position. But I have. Instead, he engages with the straw man definition of pseudo-skepticism. No, I believe that that's not the case. I've spent years going to skeptic events, reading skeptic books, talking to skeptics. I've got friends who are skeptics. And you say I don't address the actual skeptical position, instead engage a straw man definition? I don't think I do. Because he actually applies skeptical thinking to many claims, he doesn't have a need to believe in the flat earth, etc. Oh, so you see, I don't believe in the flat earth because I don't need to, I don't like the idea? Actually, if you recall, I have actually done an entire video. It was actually originally a live stream, but I changed it into a different kind of video, where I actually go through each argument one point at a time. I've debated two very big hitting flatties. David Weiss and Mark Sargent. I debated them both publicly. The videos are online if you want to see them. David says, when someone skeptically asks for good evidence and denounces bad evidence, that isn't shifting the goalposts, it's keeping them firmly in place so we don't go down a slippery slope of having to accept contradictory claims and bad evidence. It can be. For example, if you have a particular standard which you set, a hypothetical standard by which you'll accept something as true, and then you change those conditions afterwards, when those conditions are fulfilled, then what are you doing? You are literally shifting the goalpost. Now, Michael Drosnin, you skeptics very rightly criticise Michael Drosnin for this. Was it the Bible Code? What's it called? The Bible Code? What is it? Let me just have a look. The Bible Code. Here we go. The Bible Code by Michael Drosnin, yeah. This is a book which appears to indicate there's encoded messages in the Bible predicting things. And for example, Michael Drosnin predicted, apparently, the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin, the Prime Minister of Israel. This is I think he's written 3 books, Drosnin, on this. Now, what he did was, he said because people made the point quite rightly that according to the kind of deciphering method used by Drosnin with the Bible, he said you could basically get any message out of it. And so Drosnin gave him a challenge. He said, all right then, he said to this skeptic, you provide me evidence that there's messages about the assassination or messages about the car crash that killed Princess Diana encoded into Moby Dick by Herman Melville. So the skeptic went away and applied Michael Drosnin's method to the text of Moby Dick, and indeed came up with all kinds of things. He came up with Paris. There was Dodi Al-Fayed. The words were all encoded in there. There was tunnel. There was a crash. There was Mercedes. There was all these words popped out of it, including and then you know what happened? Did Drosnin say, "Okay, I'll admit it, I was wrong. You have proved me wrong"? No, he just started coming up with all kinds of excuses. I can't remember the whole thing, but the BBC Horizon did a video, a program about it. Now, wouldn't you call that shifting the goalposts? Because I do. And it's the skeptics who challenged and accused Michael Drosnin of shifting the goalposts. All I am saying is that skeptics sometimes do exactly the same thing. and I'm against both. That's all I'm saying, David. I'm not saying you should. This is, oh, you just go down a slippery slope. Yeah, you have to point out contradicting claims. You have to point out bad evidence. But once you set a hypothetical example of what you believe would be good evidence, and that good evidence is fulfilled, you can't then just go and change your mind and say, oh no, I've changed my mind. That's not good evidence. It's bad evidence. Steve Bumbling says underneath here to David Smith, without all the conspiracy claptrap, Ben is just a no-hoper living in a crappy bedsit doing a menial job. Firstly, I'm not a no-hoper. I think I've made, even by conventional terms, I've made quite a success out of my life, Steve. I've, maybe writing books doesn't count because that is a conspiracy thing. But, I've been in full-time employment for most of my life. I have an income. I can support myself. I've had a child and I've brought her up. I've been a good father. I've never done a menial job. I used to be a hospital porter, which is about as least menial as you can get. Today I'm self-employed doing jobs which I think are still used. They're not the same as portering, but they're useful. So I think that's completely wrong what you just said about me. It's rude and it's stupid, and it's misjudging me. It's misrepresenting me. Because that's how. He says here, with the conspiracy claptrap, he has some micro-fame, appearing on YouTube and some other low-brow conspiracy claptrap channels. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that you're always going to interpret these things as low-brow and conspiracy claptrap, aren't you? As for micro-fame, if people want to listen to what I have to say, I'm pleased. I don't want to become egotistical. I don't want to get down to Stephen Greer territory, but it makes me happy when people do listen to what I have to say and think what I do is useful. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not like I'm making a lot of money out of this, Steve. It's, it is his hobby. Yeah, it is. I mean, this is why, I don't like monetize my videos and things like that. I know people who do. There are lots of people who do actually do this full time for a living. Firstly, I would never earn enough. If I monetize my videos, I might. Before I got shadow banned, I might have made like £5 a week, something like that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it having loads of ads everywhere. But as for, but also then you get into the situation where you start censoring yourself. Because you're dependent on your income from your output. You're dependent on the platforms tolerating you, and therefore people almost instinctively find themselves holding back certain things and modifying their public appearance, basically to fit in with the mainstream standards of whatever platform you're on, and I don't want to do that. He said he can't step back from it as he would have nothing. Well, to be honest, yes, that's true. To be fair, Steve, that's true. I've dedicated my life to this. But that really doesn't have any bearing on whether what I've dedicated my life to is factually true or false. I have set myself this mission, and it does take up almost all my time. However, that doesn't mean it's not true, just because I am, I suppose, emotionally invested in this. You can't not be. You can't do this as much as I do and not have some kind of psychological attachment, some kind of bond to this mission. However, that in itself is not an argument about why it's not true. Steve says he can't admit the truth. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, Steve. This weekend, he's off to the Probe, quote, conference, unquote. I don't know why you've put that in quotes, Steve. It is a conference. If you define a conference as where people get together, they confer. There are speakers, there are delegates, there are audience, there's things like that. There's a social life. That is a conference, and you need to put it in quotes. It has luminaries like Tony Topping and Neil Geddes Ward presenting. Correct? They are billed as world-class speakers, quote-unquote. Well, yes, they are. This clearly demonstrates the Probe conference would be a waste of time putting up the mentally ill and low of integrity piffle peddlers. Would be a waste of time. All right, you think it's will it be a waste of time for you because of your low opinion of what's talked about there? But it's not for most people, and we explain why. We explain why I think these people are right. I think Tony and Neil are world-class speakers. I think they're very good. Probe does bring in some very, very great talent. Even the conferences where I am not speaking, you get some good talent there. Putting up, it's a comma, I didn't see the comma. Putting up the mentally ill and low of integrity piffle peddlers should have legal consequences. What? What do you mean you should have legal consequences? Firstly, if you say piffle peddlers, a probe you don't get a very much money. You do get a fee. I won't say how much it is. You are paid a fee, and you were given accommodation, but it's not a lot. It's less than what probably the average worker would earn in a day, because that's all they can afford. And you say it should have legal consequences. Now that's a bit worrying now, Steve. And you say, firstly, you say mentally ill. Now these are people who very often have not been diagnosed with any mental illness. Now that includes myself, even though I did say I was a psychiatric patient in the past. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Yet I am currently not in any way, and haven't been for several decades now. As for the others, I mean, you're saying it should have legal consequences. Now, you're saying that the police should come and arrest it? There should be laws against it? Is that what you're advocating for, Steve? You're saying there should be? Would you pass laws preventing us from doing this? And he says, as the gullible can easily be led down the garden path. Oh, so I think you're going to turn into a little bit of a misinformation fascist, aren't you, Steve? Is that where you're heading now? Please clarify your position. This is like the whole Ukraine thing. All right, this is basically the situation. This brings us back to what was said earlier about Ukraine. We're in a situation where basically it's like a court, and the prosecution, people like Mariana Spring and these other people on the BBC and other mainstream media, they're presenting and there's Putin in the dock, and they're presenting the prosecution case against him. And then the judge says, okay, time for the defense counsel to come forward, and the prosecution says, no, we will not have the defense counsel here because it's misinformation. And the judge says, who says it's misinformation? The prosecution counsel says, we do. Okay, so you want to hear the prosecution only, not the defence? Yes, we do. Right, we'll move on to the conviction then. The people you're calling gullible are actually mature adults and citizens with rights to information. If you're advocating for censorship, Steve, you are crossing a line. I don't mind you disagreeing. I don't mind you being rude even and insulting. Once you start saying that people like me shouldn't be allowed to express our opinions, you become basically an intellectual Stalinist, and you should be ashamed of yourself. So please clarify your position. Steve David Smith says to Steve, as a no-hoper myself, I'm inclined to agree. All right, well, I'm sorry you think you're a no-hoper, David. I certainly am not. Congressional hearing live stream. Diego Rivera says, Emanuela Rose has stolen Russell. She was on this morning claiming she was going to marry him. Who's Emanuela? I don't know who Emanuela Rose is, I'm afraid. A person goes to OLM. We have here Cooley1. That's a strange name. Search Outer Limits Magazine Conference 2022, and your video comes up near the top. Excellent. Thank you very much. Reply to comments 58 part 2 of Charles Scott. Oh dear. I hope you're going to say something new, please. I reject any claim I'm biased in my conclusion who is telling the truth and who is lying. I've tried to condense conclusion and separate conclusion to several comments to decrease chance someone spams, deletes or blocks my comments. I've contacted Chris from OLM and he sent a copy of the invoice letter addressed to Ben's publicly available email address, bennyj74@gmx.co.uk. And as Charles says, YouTube will probably spam the full address. Yes, they will. Not that I would liberate the comment. The letter requested payment for a single full weekend ticket billed to Ben E. Jones. I've looked at the Stripe software website invoicing section as this was used for invoicing. I've actually seen in the accounts that Chris sent me Ben's email address, an invoice created the 1st of March and overdue payment status. Notes, Stripe software automatically updates to status once Ben sends the money. Chris confirmed my suspicion that Stripe automatically creates an invoice date in the accounts, 1st of March in this case. Only when an invoice has been emailed to Ben. The email invoice Chris sent must have got through to Ben, otherwise Stripe would not have created invoice. Ben must have seen the email invoice, as he would keep checking after requesting a ticket. Chris informed me that he sent proof to Ben as well as to me, and says Ben denies receiving email invoice. I do deny receiving the invoice. I'm not in a position where I can accuse someone of being a liar, but the pages you saw, Charles, could have been. You can actually mock those up using Windows Paint. I mean, it's very easy to do. No, I'm not going to accuse Chris of being a liar, nor am I going to go and to visit him and stand over his shoulder while he actually shows me his own Stripe account, and he shows me the records in his Stripe account. Screenshots aside, that's what you would have to do. I'm happy to let this go now. I'm not lying, though. I am not lying when I say I didn't receive an invoice. And I'm not saying Chris is automatically lying when he said he sent me one. All I know is what I've reported, and I reported in the video. Okay? So I hope that suffices. And Charles Scott says on the same video, regarding Ben to Chris's and myself stating the invoice was sent to Ben on several occasions, and he gives a list here of various references. I don't need to click these. I know what you're talking about. Ben neither confirmed nor denied receiving the email invoice. Oh, well, I will now confirm that I did not receive the email invoice, okay? This is the optimum neutral answer for a liar with the knowledge Chris could show proof of invoicing Ben. If Chris were lying, then the optimum neutral answer for Ben would be denying receiving the email invoice. No, I think that's not true. Firstly, I am denying it. I actually said, the reason I didn't reply, I just said to Chris, I was a bit sarcastic with Chris, and I said, time for you to have my silence and things like this. However, at the same time, Chris did not show me proof of invoicing me. He showed me a screenshot of what looks like something invoicing me. And I don't know how you can actually, short of invading, hacking his computer, which I'm not going to do, I don't really see how I could prove that Chris is telling the truth, or Chris allowing me to see his computer and actually showing me the actual account. All I know is I did not receive an email invoice, and I'll sit in a polygraph and sort that out. Okay. Either way, I mean, this really isn't. It's kind of. It's not really a major point, though, is it? When you think about it, no harm was actually done, was it? It's not like there was enormous consequences coming from this. I had my say in the video. I've allowed Chris to put his comment underneath. Chris has made many other statements protesting his innocence. I think, what else are we supposed to do? Charles says here on the same video, in conclusion, beyond reasonable doubt, Ben is the liar, and several people are telling, no, I'm not, saying that Ben was not barred from OLM 2022. Given the proof of Chris's invoicing Ben, he didn't give me proof, as I've explained. Ben replies to Chris and my comments, neither confirming nor denying receiving email invoices. I didn't want to make a statement of that position. I am now making that statement. And Ben lying, saying he received no reply to his emails. I'm not lying. Ben was also disrespectful to give the misleading impression that OLM people were lying. What impression I give is something you alone are qualified to comment on, Charles, okay? Giving impressions is a subjective thing, and it's basically in the eye of the beholder, and it is subjective. I never accused the people at OLM of lying outright. Even more disturbing is the fact Ben dressed in disguise as David Jones, quote-unquote, which indicates a mental illness or bizarre, weird character trait. I don't know, I thought it was rather amusing, personally. A lot of other people did, Charles. Deborah Singleton's comment in Ben's "A Person Goes to OLM" seems appropriate, given Ben's mockery of OLM by attending in disguise as David Jones. Oh, yes, she was well triggered, wasn't she? She's blocked me now. My goodness me. Ben, how dare you turn up and cause no trouble? How dare you turn up and just sit and listen? How awful! I do actually. Another reason I question this whole business, which Chris has said, is, at some point Chris must have gone to to Sasha Christie and Peter Robbins and David Young and said, look, Ben, you don't mind if Ben comes, do you? And they said, no, sure, invite him, bring him in, after all the things they've said about me. Oh, I doubt that very much. Anyway, a weird character trait which discredits all people involved with OLM and the wider truth movement. Does it? How does it discredit the people involved with OLM? Regardless of your opinions on this matter, how does me attending the conference in a particular dress style and causing no trouble at all discredit the wider truth movement and the OLM? Ben has also brought his own reputation into disrepute. Well, as I said, Charles, I mean, I don't think I have, because the people who already have a high opinion of me really like what I did. And the people who already have a low opinion of me really hate what I did. So I haven't gained or lost anything in terms of reputation. Naturally, Ben, I don't expect you to admit being a liar again. You will continue to try and lie your way out of this situation. Charles, all right, by what criteria would you accept that I was telling the truth? Do you want to see if I sent you screenshots of my emails, would you then accept that I was telling the truth? Because you seem to accept what Chris has said, simply from him showing you what you say is proof. Can I show you the same proof? Would you accept it if I show you the same proof? 2 of 2, Charles Scott. One of my comments has been repeatedly blocked. It was about Ben saying he had no reply to his emails. It was full of links, Charles, all right? I'll try and post it sometime if someone stops blocking. Oh, shut up. All right, I'm not reading any more of that because you're talking bollocks. And indeed, here we go. Charles actually repeated this accusation, and I actually gave a text reply. And once again, I explained to him I'm not deleting any of his comments. I'm approving all of them. I released all the spam. So just drop. I like Steve mumbling, Charles. I want you to stop this now. It's getting boring. The Oxford Monolith. Oh, it's an old one now. Rick Horden says at 6:40. Oh, there's a timestamp. Let's have a look.
I think we're about at the angle where the photograph in the papers was taken by Dominic Hutton. So we're in about the right location, and it's gone. Yes, the monolith has gone.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah. I'm glad you like that, though. Anyway, Rick, that's an old video from. Do you remember when the monolith started appearing? One actually did appear in a floodplain in Oxford. Yeah, and I went to check it out, but it was gone. Yeah. But I'm glad you enjoyed that, Rick. That's a lovely old video of mine. New probe, Tim the Pigeon Master. Hello, Ben. Hello, Tim. How you doing? Mr. Grayal says on New probe, Ben, your reconnaissance missions are the dopest. Are the dopest. I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad? Thanks for bringing us along for the ride. You're very welcome, Mr. Grail. What I do with these reportages, I want to give people an impression of what it would be like to attend one of these things. Lime Spec says on New Probe, yes. Emma Davidson says on New Probe, thank you, Ben. Your videos are very much appreciated. You're very welcome, Emma. I'm glad you enjoy them. New Probe. Kelly says here, will this be a yearly conference again, Ben? Kelly, I'm not sure. Paul is still in the planning stages. This is just a pilot event, and it is a tribute to his mum and dad. We'll have to wait and see. I know he's making plans right now. I hope it'll be like biannual, like the old probe was. I was not familiar with this one, so thanks for bringing it to your subscribers. Edited to add that we definitely need to look into the dead fairies in Bristol comment made from the bloke in the pub. Well, yes, Kelly, I'll do. Someone else has asked me about that. I will definitely sort that out. Yeah. Crafty Nihilist says on New Probe, I identify as being first. Good for you, Crafty. Who's gonna? Surely we're not going to. Mistime you, are we? That's a hate crime to mistime somebody. It's like me, I'm a big corpulent bloke, but I self-identify as a thin person. I'm trans-slender. ZXR Alien Warrior, that's Tiberius Kirk. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, mate. You're welcome. Kerry Woodley says on New Probe. New Probe? Sir, there's an agenda at play. clean the old probe and reuse it. Haven't you heard of the cost of living crisis? Well, if that's the agenda, then it's a good thing, because that's kind of what I want. I want it to be a recreation, and so far it has been. Now, I don't know what Paul might have other plans. In fact, in his interview, he did say he was talking about a roadshow kind of situation. So it may be, and it probably won't stay at that venue, but, you can't have everything. What he produced, he and his team produced at this event was literally, it was like a nostalgic dream come true. New probe Jack Parker says, and by the way, Kerry, yes, of course we've all heard of the cost of living crisis, haven't we? Jack Parker says, a new probe. Aliens over Ukraine, over Taiwan, over North Korea. Well, if they keep acting like they want to, let's see if they do it this time. Well, that's funny you said aliens over these various places, over Ukraine. There's actually a place in Ukraine. It's actually called the Olisky Sands, I believe. Where is it here? Oh, I can't see it now. Where's it gone? Basically, it's something called the Olisky Sands. It's like a dry desert area. It's got like a little microclimate. It's near Kherson, actually, where there's a lot of fighting going on at the moment. And there's Salah was in this video claims that there's something extraterrestrial, like a spaceship buried under it. I don't know if that's true, but he went through this various evidence. So aliens over Ukraine, Taiwan, North Korea. Maybe that's why the war broke out there. I don't know. Well, if they keep acting like they want to, let's see if they'll do it this time. We should focus on some more pressing issues. We have other planets to mess with. This is beginning to look like futility. Earth is really taking entirely too much time. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think there are more pressing issues than the alien presence. I mean, there are lots of planets to mess with, like you said, but I don't know what you mean by other planets to mess with. But futility, Earth is taking entirely too much time. I'm afraid I don't quite understand what you mean, Jack. Let's see if they do what this time. Sweeps! Sweeps Foxman 27 says on UPro, thumbs up, Ben. Hello, your loquacious, longish video, easy, pleasant travelogue, follow along the way talk. Enjoyed all your patter, but the speakers left me dubious and had the same or worse acoustics echo problem in the hall when I spoke there. 3 times. Yes, Sweeps is a regular at Probe, and unfortunately the acoustics are not the best. There's a lot of echo in the sports hall. I think the conference won't stay there. It may well, even the next one may be in a different place. New probe. A centaur. This is what happened when they allowed it to be born without discarding the mother. Somehow suckled it. What are you talking about, Jack? What the hell are you talking about? Sorry, you may be referring to something in the video, and I don't know what. No, I'm afraid not. Lisa says, fucking Birmingham New Street Station, quote unquote. Yeah, it is. What a horrible place. What a horrible, confusing maze. Wait, there's about 50 platforms, and now you have to go to the red zone. No, you have to go through the turnstile and go through another turnstile to go into the green zone. It's like getting out of the labyrinth. Oh, I'm glad I could change at Wolverhampton. Apart from that CCTV in the toilet. Although I bet you bloody Birmingham's probably got them in the toilet as well. Lisa says here, I've been to St Anne's, New Horizons, so many times, but not for a long time. Last time probably around 2016 and 17. And of course, Andy and I met you there before you spoke at New Horizons and sampled the legendary carvery. Not boring for me, Ben, just a very nostalgic of so many times gone by. Yeah, I know, Lisa. I remember very well. Yeah, we did go to that event, Andy, you, and there was the sad, the lost, lamented friends of ours who've died, John and Alex, who've gone. They've left us at too young an age. And yeah, it was happy days, Lisa. Very happy days. I look back now with I do look back and think, wow, amazing. Stephen Truthseeker says on UPro, the UFOs flying into the ground must be holograms. Well, maybe if you define it may be something like etheric, yeah, something like non-physical. I mean, God knows. I mean, but aliens do have a physical presence. As I explained, they leave footprints. They leave behind solid objects, metals, debris, things like that. Lisa says cash only because the computer's down in a pub. Love it. Yeah, I was walking to the front of the queue and everyone else was going, oh, go on, we're fine. I was able to pay, no one else was, and John Nolan says always carry cash in case of emergencies. I always carry cash for my normal financial transactions because that way I can interact privately with people. This actually came up last night when I met my brother Porters. Lisa said, oh God, Lisa's now making a comment about something I said when I was drunk. What is attractive about a naked man? Haha, I suppose it should come down to the fact that if you love someone, then you love their body, and it should, in my view, be about that love only and nothing else, and never public view, hence the problem of the world we live in my opinion. And the obvious thing, of course, Ben, what is so erotic about a man is that if you are a man and you're not gay, you're not going to get it, else all women would be lesbians. And much as I hate to shatter your illusion, lol, women don't always look and smell nice and they do make strange noises too, haha. Hashtag just saying. Read shots and shooters. Read the shots and shooters. I never really got that either, but the fact is, the world we now live in wants to get as high as it can, as fast as it can. In some ways, I can't blame it really. And then they go onto the drugs. Very, very sad, isn't it, Ben? And this is why this place has to change or die. Yeah, it's like that. Remember that? It's a Wonderful Life, that film I reviewed about when they're in a parallel universe, and there's the guy who says, "Listen, Buster, this bar is for people who want strong drink to get drunk as quick as possible," and things like that. Yeah, new probe, Stephen. Truth Seekers, could you just find out more about those dead fairies? Yeah, I will do that now, Stephen. I'll do that now. Okay, here we are. Dead fairies. Here we are. Because several people have asked me to look into this in Bristol. All right, I'll Google dead fairies in Bristol. Enchanted House. Let me just. I'll put screen share with you. Here you go. Enchanted House appears inside a tree in Knowles, signalling. What's this? In Knowles, signalling fairy gentrification of a new part of Bristol. Oh, where's this? It appeared overnight. It appears fairies are moving into Knowles. Oh, cute. Oh, where were we? Okay, let's have a look at another one. Fairies weren't always so cute. Woodland Knoll Fairy House, Fairy Homes and Gardens. Oh, this is mini houses and things. Oh, look at the Booth House. All right, that's all I can find at the moment, Stephen. But I'll try and find out more. Neil Geddes Ward is the guy. I'll have a word with Neil when I get the chance. Okay. Right, where are we? Bluebeam, new probe, question mark, Charles lost. Unfortunately, yes, as I've explained about Charles, very sad. New probe, Lisa cries freedom, aliens farming us for energy. Well, what else? Sorry, Ben, just commenting as listening and not meaning to comment take over. That's all right, Lisa, post as many comments as you like. It's just I was just thinking to myself, what is the truth behind aliens? It may be something we're not aware of, and it may be something that we haven't thought of, and it may be something that's actually not very pleasant. It may be it's bad news. As I gave the example, what if these are intergalactic farmers and the Earth is a barnyard and we're the livestock? What if that is actually what's happening? It could be that we find that out. We say we want the truth. We want the truth. I say, well, this is the truth. Oh my God, no! Do you see what I mean? New probe, Bluebeam. I think I was abducted by the Secret Hospital Porter program. Oh my God, Bluebeam. I was abducted by that in 1989. It took me 23 years to escape. The Secret Hospital Porter program. New probe, Diego Rivera. This felt like I was probed after watching. Well, it must have been good then. You must feel if you don't feel probed after you finish watching New Probe, then you haven't been probed properly. New Probe, Miles Lawler. Very interesting, but at this timestamp, who do you think they are? The English Bigfoot or something? Let's have a listen. Oh, hang on. Let me just screen share that for you. Because it's a joke. It's a joke. Hang on a sec. This is good. Here we go. Is that the English Bigfoot? Looks like it, doesn't it? Slightly less hairy. I think he's had a shave. Where am I off to? That was Neil secretly filming me. Yeah. Oh, it's just yeah. It's a kind of shaved English Bigfoot, I think. Yeah. Charles Scott. Ben wrote 3. Oh, here we go. 2. This is on 2 of 2. Ben wrote 3 times requesting a ticket with no reply by anyone to his email. See a Ben video. Person goes to OLM. Blah de blah. Yeah. Once Chris said he had proof invoicing Ben. Ben changed his story, saying he did get a response to his email. No, I didn't get a response to my emails. I didn't change my story. No, you've changed your story now. I thought you said that first of all I said nothing and didn't confirm or deny it, and then denied it. Not to mention the proven fact Chris did indeed email an invoice in response to Ben's emails. It's not proven, and you know, Charles, you're starting to sound a bit obsessed with this. You really are. It's starting to go to your head a little bit, right? It really is. New probe. Where was that Lou guy who does not say UFO? Do you mean Lou Elizondo? Oh, that's it. It is now. An hour has gone past. Okay, if you mean Lou Elizondo, John, he wasn't there. It wasn't his conference. Okay, guys, another hour gone. So back in a sec. Okay, guys, here we go again with part 4. Back on the case. And Gary Robinson says, tell you what, this is on New Probe. I'll tell you what, Ben, mate, they're going to have a very hard time converting Mexico into a cashless society. That's just not going to work. Apart from the vast amount of day labourers working for cash in hand, whenever you go into a store here and try to swipe your debit card, they often have no internet connection, so they have no choice but to accept cash. I think I mentioned to you before that the phone and internet situation in my city, and no doubt many other cities here in Mexico, is really bad. They certainly don't have the infrastructure to go cashless. Not yet, Gary, not yet. But I think they're working on that. I mean, there's been a lot of moves to develop the third world in terms of its electronic infrastructure. Online presence and things like that. I covered that on my St. Helena video. Do you remember the human rights organisation that was trying to get St. Helena put onto this transatlantic cable? I think there is probably still a long-term agenda. It looks like it's a long way away for you guys, and that's probably a good thing. Although I know, of course, you know, the electronic sophistication brings a lot of benefits, which I'm sure the people of Mexico would love to enjoy. It has its downside, the way it can be weaponized. So that's the problem there. Okay, I'm just doing this quickly. I'm actually converting the. I'm just using a system right now. I'm not on screen share. I might know. I'm using a system right now to convert what I record from the webcam. It's like 3.8 gigabytes or whatever it is, into something smaller and more manageable. It's a lower resolution than you get from the camera, because it seems I can't actually adapt the camera's resolution, which is annoying. Gary Robinson said on YouProbe, Julie enjoyed her first probing at 1:15:30. Yeah. She's got such a bubbly personality, Julie. She really has. Ooh, matron.
Well, I put my foot in it there, didn't I?
Oh, she's lovely. She really is lovely. I've gotten so well with her. A new pro, Rick Horden, says, "All right, here we go. We have a timestamp here."
Just when I thought nothing could surprise me, I have been surprised here at Blackpool Central Coach Station.
Oh, right.
There's this fortified compound here, presumably containing.
That's the
some kind
toilet. That's the fortified. That's the toilet. Yes, the strange armoured toilet they had there. Rick Horden says, "Heartless modernist, Ben. Dead fairies will no doubt emerge as some sort of band in the near future." Another great roving report. All the best. You're very welcome, Rick. I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. The dead fairies. Yes. They've always got the dead Kennedys, haven't they? So what about the dead fairies? Oh, we got a thread. We got a thread here. A new probe Steve Mumbling says on NewPro, a lot of effort for Tony Topping's twaddle and Neil's fairies at the bottom of the garden, etc., etc. Oh, thanks for that review. Thank you very much, Jonathan Ross. You watched it all to the end, no doubt. David Smith said, I am shocked, Steve. How can you not believe these people? They are mere claiming the entire reality of our civilization is built on what lies? Built on lies whilst offering no hard proof. I mean, come on, Steve. What more do you need? Do you believe the weatherman or do you need proof? Then why not these? Funny things about David Smith. He's always sarcastic like this, but you know what he actually says, you remove the sarcasm from what he says, and it's actually true. You know, I am claiming that the entire reality of our civilization is built on lies. As for hard proof, I think I offer as much as I offer as much evidence as I can, as do Tony and Neil. That's for the weatherman. Well, they get it wrong quite a lot, don't they? You know. Was it Rory Bremner says, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? Oh, I ain't got a fucking clue, really. Oh, Stephen said, oh, it was warmly received. Neil's here. Neil the Peel, the Paranormal Peep Show. The man himself is here saying, oh, it was warmly received. It was indeed. I think Neil did a damn good job. And yeah, he has actually recorded his talk as well, so hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. And Steve says to Neil, he really shouldn't be encouraged. He's very obviously unwell between the ears. You're not helping him. You know what you're saying is rubbish. He really doesn't. Are you addressing me or Neil? Because if you're talking about me, you're completely wrong. Neil and I'm interested in what Neil has to say. He's interested in what I have to say, and we do so as consenting adults. We're not gay or anything, but you know we indulge in intellectual exchange as consenting adults. Steve, I know you don't like doing that because you think there should be legal consequences for people like us. A person goes to OLM. Jack Burns says some hilarious moments in this. I should think many of the attendees will wonder about the mysterious David Jones. I do enjoy these out and about vids as well. Top stuff, Ben. Thanks, Jack. Yes, luckily the mysterious Mr. Jones didn't have to attend this particular event, did he? He didn't have to go. He was actually allowed to take the day off. So I just got to make a note of something. 1 sec. He was actually allowed to take the day off. And do you know what? I was pleased, if for no other reason. It's very uncomfortable wearing that costume. Very uncomfortable indeed. Right, it's very uncomfortable wearing that costume. Jack Burns says on the same video. Oh, so, I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. So Jack. That's a person goes to OLM, not New Pro. I see now. He says some hilarious moments in this. I should think many of the attendees will wonder about the mysterious David Jones. I do enjoy these out and about vids as well. Top stuff, Ben. Sorry, it's a person goes to OLM and not Probe. I'm sorry, not New Probe. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jack. I thought, most people I know just found it very amusing, and it's not like there was any harm done, was there? Jack Burns says, also, though, it was incredibly mean of those OLM organisers not to sell Ben a ticket and welcome him. They're now claiming that they did, Jack. Literally, no one said anything like this until after I uploaded the video. Literally, I had a friend of mine constantly monitoring social media, and there was no mention of me at all the whole time. People were posting things on social media a lot during the weekend, but literally it was only on Monday evening when I uploaded A Person Goes to OLM that suddenly there was an explosion of statements about me. People saying, "Oh yes, we knew Ben was there. We knew all along. Oh yeah, I know he says he's banned, but we actually did try to sell him a ticket." So yeah, I mean, they claim I still think I'm still dubious about this. And if they did ban me, then yes, that is mean. Jack carries on. Haven't they learned anything from the last 2 years and forcing more isolation on one of their own? Really, a fellow UFO enthusiast? Well, exactly, Jack. I mean, that's all I am. I'm a fellow UFO enthusiast. I just want to go to an event where we discuss UFOs and other things, other mysterious, spooky stuff. That's all I wanted to do. And instead, there is this personal dislike between me and other people within the community because of disagreements over the Larry Warren situation and lots of other things. As a result, we've become factional. We've gone very, very factional. However, a conference really should be a place where we can put these things aside. And if I'd been organising the conference, I'd have just said, look, if anyone requests that someone else not be there, I'd have said, just grow up. Especially someone who's offering an unconditional 24-hour ceasefire. I just said, grow up. He's coming along. If you've got no right to stand there and say, oh, if Ben Emlyn-Jones is there, I will not be attending. Oh, goodness me, goodness gracious me. Because I mean, basically, people have said that. New probe. I don't know if I'm not just talking about the OLM either. They said it in other situations. New probe. Tor Engen. This is the kind of saw. That's the kind of saw I use. 100% aloe vera. Can be a bit painful at the start, but will heal well. Oh, that's the sore on my foot. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tor. That's much appreciated. You know what I did when I got home? I did actually. I put some TCP on it, and then I covered it with a plaster, and it went away. It went away actually within a short while. And we have a debate now. Steve Mumbling versus Neil Peel on New Probe. The real world sees this mess as a menagerie of very troubled individuals. A large board by the door should read Truth-Free Zone. Truth-Free Zone. Well, a menagerie of troubled individuals is slightly more original than piffle peddlers and all the other cliches you use, Steve. Anyway, Neil Peel of the Paranormal Peep Show replies, I think science is actually coming to realise there are many worlds within worlds, all as real as each other, as each radio station is as real as the next one, except they are on different channels, playing very different tunes. I think, Steve, you're on Radio 4. You must be joking. He's on bloody Radio Luxembourg from the 60s. Steve Mumbling says to Neil, that sounds like Ike Twaddle to me. It's all down to frequency, lol. Each radio station is detectable. I could listen to any radio station. I can't detect other worlds, though, and neither can you. There's no evidence to support any of your nonsense, as usual. Well, actually, Steve, Coxie Boy, the Large Hadron Collider, now says there is. So, I mean, if that twat believes it, and surely you must accept that it's time for the Overton window to shift. Neil says, you can listen to other radio stations, yes, because you have a radio. Back in 1700, you could not listen to the radio, but those radio frequencies were still there to be tapped into, if you knew about them. If you were back in 1600 or 1700, you'd be saying, what twaddle? But it's only with developing technology you can now hear them. Steve said, take my word for it, Neil, in 1700 there were no radio or TV stations. Well, that's what he said, Steve, that's what he said. I think you missed Neil's point. Neil says here, I think I know that, Steve, but the radio spectrum existed even then. You're a bit slow today. He is, isn't he, Neil? Yeah, either that was like an ignoring your point, or he just didn't understand it. And Neil also says here, Neil says also to Steve, so what about Dr. Michio Kaku then? He came up with string theory. He talks about different dimensions and parallel worlds, and you conveniently ignored that one. Absolutely correct, Neil. He calls it's known as M theory. Steve Mumbling says to Neil, yes, the radio spectrum would have been empty. The radio and TV stations came along and occupied those specific frequencies. They generate the energy you detect when you watch and listen to them, but otherwise there's nothing there. Another excellent demonstration of your technical ignorance. Not true, Steve. These particular notches, these particular channels on the radio spectrum existed, and they were the home of natural radio emissions. Some of these things came from the ground, from the Earth, from volcanoes, from the atmosphere, from the ionosphere, but also from life, such as electric eels and several other species transmit electromagnetic signals. So, though the radio spectrum was not empty in the 1600, it's just there were no human transmissions there. In fact, if you have a radio and you tune to a channel that's not in use, you won't hear silence, will you? If you get your radio, you turn the dial, and you suddenly find a channel that's not being used, what do you hear? You hear all kinds of noises. You hear static. Sometimes you can hear organised, structured noises. Sometimes there's a random transient from something. Usually it's it may be a gamma ray burst, or it may be something else. It may be a passing bird or something. So yeah. Steve mumbling then also says to Neil, he's generally regarded as being a nut, isn't he? I don't know who you're talking about there. And Neil says to Steve, occupied those frequencies. There used to be a natural spectrum to broadcast. That spectrum was already in existence, of course, just like microwaves, infrared, etc. Those waves existed and the technology tapped into them. Boats don't invent waves, they ride on them, just as radio uses carrier waves. Correct! And Neil then carries on. Generally regarded as a nut, the leading guy in physics. Oh, they're talking about Kaku, yeah. Michio Kaku's just appeared in a UFO documentary. Yeah, Tear in the Sky. The leading guy in physics, string theory, etc., interviewed all over the world, written books and presented programs, and you say he's regarded as a nut? Maybe you can present some theoretical physics then to prove he's a nut. In physics, electromagnetic radiation, EMR, consists of waves of the electromagnetic EM field, propagating through space, carrying electromagnetic radiant energy. It includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Steve mumbling says to Neil, yes, it's broadband noise, not specific frequencies. SETI is looking for specific narrowband frequencies because these will be generated by a transmitter, a technological device, just like a radio station. What frequency do you think your fairies are on? What frequency do you think humans are on? If you're saying they each produce different specific electromagnetic frequency, what is it? If you don't know, you're just telling science fiction stories again, aren't you? It's easy to prove or disprove. There's a piece of RF test equipment, an RF spectrum analyzer, that will show you if they're real. Everything is in the electromagnetic spectrum is detectable. Well, I don't think you're answering Neil's point there, Steve, because Neil said there is actually specific narrowband frequencies produced by nature. SETI has often made mistakes at times by picking up these things and picking up completely natural objects that they think may not be. For example, the LGM, Jocelyn Bell Burnell, who picked up the pulsars in the 60s. She did think for a moment, oh my goodness me, is this a regular signal? It's like a lighthouse in space. This has to be the work of intelligent aliens, but it wasn't. It's a natural object. It's a rotating neutron star, which shines a beam. It is like a lighthouse. It shines a beam, but it's natural. And you didn't answer. Neil made that point, and you didn't answer him. Neil says to Steve, human vibration parameter comparison and result discussion. According to existing research, the natural frequency of a human standing body is about 7.5 hertz, and the frequency of a sitting posture in the cab is generally 4 to 6 hertz. 7th of February 2018. Yeah, I love it. I love these quick fire rebuttals, these little one-liners. Well done, Neil. Steve says to Neil, this is a mechanical vibration, not an electromagnetic frequency. FFS. Get a grip, Neil. Neil says to Steve, somewhere in the infrared, our body also emits infrared radiation and even some radio waves because it is warm. You can read more in the section mobile telephone. Well, while infrared light and radio waves are converted to heat, electromagnetic fields with extremely low frequency produces an electric current in the body. 12th of January 2016. Steve says to Neil, I think Steve's going to give it up in a minute. That's nothing to do with the body generating a specific frequency. What specific frequency do your fairies generate? Let's get some gear and prove or disprove their existence. Neil says to Steve, you don't have to know the nature of the phenomenon to detect them. That would take some time to discover. There are sightings of these beings. Just because they don't vibrate on your ghost detector does not mean they don't exist. My postman won't likely set off a ghost detector, but he's bringing in my post all right. Well done, Neil. Well done. I think that. Oh, there's more replies. Hang on, more replies. Oh, Steve has the last word. Sorry. Says Neil. So now they're vibrating mechanically, are they? This has nothing to do with your electromagnetic spectrum argument. It's nonsense, Neil. Well, no, it's not, because you aren't really answering Neil's point, I don't think, Steve. Okay. Next one. Musketeer. Oh, blimey, here we go. One of two. Ben, when I mentioned the treatment of homosexuals, evangelists and anti-vaxxers in Russia, you flew into a rage, claiming I was trying to trick you into giving an answer I could then use against you, and you refused to comment. I don't remember. I certainly didn't fly into a rage. At no point did you show me the things you claim, videos of a gay person in Russia, or about the treatment of followers and non-Russian Orthodox and non-Orthodox religions. All right, what's his name? What's his bloody name? Canadian Olympic skater. What's his bloody name? Canadian Olympic skaters. Oh, there's so many. Figure skating scheme. Figure skating team Canada. Official Olympic website. Oh, bloody hell. Who's the best figure skater in Canada? It's Kurt Browning. Canadian figure. Oh, God. Well, you can look it up yourself, man. You've got Google, Charles. You look it up. Charles Musketeer. You look it up yourself. The hybrid chemovars of weed being smoked now is far stronger than the hash we used to toke. Well, you used to. Don't know about me. I've only tried it twice. Thousands of times stronger in many cases. Individual plants produce a varying effect even among the same type of cannabis. It all depends on the plant's chemical composition and the growing technique used. All right. I hope you're listening, Steve. I hope you're listening, Hugo Rune. You can't buy 2 bags of weed and guarantee the same effects. Ben, I doubt very much your second toke had anything added to it. You expected the same effect the second time as the first. You can't always expect that. Some weed makes you happy and energetic, and some just wipes you out, and so on and so forth. Oh, okay. Fair enough. For me, hallucinations, loss of perception of time, identity or location wouldn't be a bad experience. Great, in fact. Good shit. Well, you know, it was actually but I experienced the loss of perception and identity in time on both occasions. The first time, though, it made me feel happy, and the second time it made me feel bloody awful. Quote, when marijuana is smoked, THC and other chemicals in the plant pass from the lungs into the bloodstream, which rapidly carries them throughout the body to the brain. The person begins to experience effects almost immediately. Most people experience a pleasant euphoria and a sense of relaxation. Other common effects, which may vary dramatically among different people, include heightened sensory perception, e.g. brighter colours. I think this is why in the Vietnam War, Musketeer, they allowed the soldiers, some commanders allowed the soldiers to smoke marijuana for that reason, because it actually did give them heightened sensory perception, which of course you need if you're a soldier. Laughter, I got the giggles really badly. Altered perception of time, correct. Increased appetite, I felt very hungry. Yeah. Pleasant experiences with marijuana are by no means universal. Instead of relaxation and euphoria, some people experience anxiety, fear, distrust, or panic. The first 3 I certainly got. I didn't panic, but I got the first 3 with my second experience. These effects are more common when a person takes too much. The marijuana has an unexpectedly high potency, or the person is inexperienced. Right, certainly the last one. I was inexperienced. As I said, that was only my second trip. As for the potency, I don't know. This was provided by a friend. A guy, he's still my friend. I don't feel any resentment to him. Maybe I did overdo it. I mean, actually, the lady I was with, my friend, actually did say that I had a bit too much for someone who's new to the drug. People who have taken marijuana may experience an acute psychosis, which includes hallucinations, delusions, and a loss of the sense of personal identity. I had those. The loss of person. Yeah, I did feel I was more than one person. I felt I had different personalities coming through. Musketeer, I don't know if you read the article I wrote on this on HPANWO Voice. If you go to HPANWO Voice and put in cannabis into search, you'll find both my articles. But in the second occasion, I felt there was different personalities within myself that kept pushing forward at different times. It was very strange experience. So that was actually a type of psychosis. Yeah, it was. And hallucinations. I got hallucinations. I saw faces in the cushions. People's faces were all coloured green, bright green. Everyone's skin was coloured bright green, and yet in inanimate objects such as the cushions on the settee, I distinctly saw scowling faces in the patterns of the cloth, the way it folded. Delusions again. Yeah, I believed I was in the Arena nightclub in Oxford, which doesn't exist anymore, and was over 100 miles away, and shut down in 2008. Yeah, that's a delusion. Hallucinations. Yeah, I also describe how I closed my eyes and I saw myself flying over this gigantic palace. It's almost like a kind of Mughal architecture, like the Brighton Pavilion. He goes on, these unpleasant but temporary reactions are distinct from longer-lasting psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia that may be associated with the use of marijuana in vulnerable individuals. Right, well, I only smoked it twice. I'm not planning to do so again, Musketeer. Hallucinations, loss of the sense of personal identity, altered perception of time and so on. It was just weed, mate. Okay. All right, Musketeer, it was just weed. I accept that. By the way, because you refused to ensure my confidentiality, I will not be sending you a photograph. Why you refused my request is anyone's guest. Right, what request did you refuse? I've not refused your request. Oh, the thing about the skater. I've just tried to search for him and I couldn't find him. Okay, you Google it. That's not a refusing your request. And I didn't fly into a rage. Oh, okay, well, I accept. I don't. All right, I won't ask you to send a photograph because I think I made a mistake, and I do not think you are a droid, and I did apologise for that. And now, Musketeer's back again on 1 of 2 again. Ben, just because somebody obtains something through a Freedom of Information request doesn't mean nobody else can obtain the same thing. The same information obtained by the newspaper you speak of can be requested by you or anyone else. FOIA requests, FOI requests are not exclusive on the first come first served basis. All right, well, Greenwald mentioned the incident with the 1,500 pages, but he didn't mention that he had it. Maybe I'll go back and check his channel again. Maybe he has. New probe, Paul Armstrong. I think UK Woo has a big problem, and the evidence is there for all to see at the all-new, not really, brackets, probe conference. A tiny audience, many of whom won't have paid to get in. Firstly, the audience was actually the biggest one I've seen there for quite a while, and it's a pilot event, like I said. There was easily 100 people there, Paul. And many of whom won't have paid to get in, but they did pay to get in. There was someone at reception examining tickets. We had a band that we put round our wrist to show that we paid. And a very odd old demographic with little or no fresh young blood coming in to replace them. The thing about it is they're not very old. I mean, sure, the average age they are mostly elderly people or late middle-aged people. But you see, this has a lot to do with the fact that I think you have to be quite a mature person to get to grips with this sort of thing. And there are younger people involved. I mean, you look at the UFO scene right now. There's people like Christina Gomez, she's only 20-something. Ryan Sprague, I think, is in his mid-30s. I mean, these are young people. Paul goes on. Not to mention the huge demographic changes we've seen in the country, which with BAMEs becoming a bigger percentage of the population every decade, BAMEs just don't seem to be asked about woo. Worrying times indeed. Well, Paul Armstrong, have you seen my video, Women in Ufology? You've got to ask, you see, because I think you're making the point that because that BAMEs, which is it black, ethnic minority, Asian, ethnic something, I don't know what that means, BAME, it's just one of these stupid things. It's like Yukmagamur. Don't even ask me what that means. It was Sargon of Akkad, his channel, that talked about it. it could be that there are just completely natural, cultural, psychological reasons why different demographics gravitate towards different interests. Doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. Sorry, no, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong here that needs to be fixed. It could be there's nothing wrong. It could be these are natural inequalities, which are because they're natural and because no individual is held back. They are harmless inequalities. And I will not accept any of these people who go around saying, I went there and I was the only woman, or something like that. Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm a woman in a man's world, and things. I don't accept that bollocks. Please, Paul, if you haven't already, please watch my video called Women in Ufology. So I think your assessment of probe is incorrect. Musketeer's back on 1 of 2. I challenged Raza on his claims in the comments section on Neil Peel's channel. Raza asked for comments and I challenged him. He came back with complete baloney, which I proved to be just that. Raza deleted his comments and ran away. I don't think he'll be showing his face there anytime soon. For sure, he won't be taking questions. Musketeer, I think I haven't studied this interaction between you and Raza, so I can't really comment on it. I won't necessarily take your side just because Raza deleted his comments. I don't exactly know what your tone was towards him. I don't know how he deals with people of different tones. Raza was exposed by the free energy community as a BS artist. That's why they want nothing to do with him. He's not a doctor. He uses a fake name, so you can't check him out. I know this is probably going to make you angry and you will lash out at me, as no one likes being taken for a ride. You are the one who said you don't have the time to check things out, including my rebuttals of his nonsense, so you only have yourself to blame. All right. Firstly, you've made a claim. I'm not going to, get angry and lash out at you? No. Why do you think I'm going to do that? But Raz has been exposed by the free energy community. Well, which community? Is this Keely Nets? Is this Andrew Johnson? Because Andrew Johnson thinks everyone's a BS artist, apart from him and Richard D. Hall. So who are you talking about when you say free energy community? He's not a doctor. So what? And he's using a fake name. Well, a lot of people don't use their own names. There's something wrong with using a fake name in this world, because sometimes when you some of the subjects you talk about do have implications for your private life. So if he uses a free name, that's fine with me. I don't believe I have been taken for a ride. I've never said 100% that what he says is correct. I've listened to what he's had to say. I've interviewed him. What he says is actually very, very interesting. And as I say, I don't have time to check things out, including my rebuttals of his nonsense. Well, I don't have time. Well, I haven't actually looked at this thread, which he's deleted now. I mean, if you get into a conversation with him again, if I have time and if he doesn't delete it, I will read the thread. Or if you want to talk to him on this particular channel, obviously I'll read the comments out. So I'm not, why do you think this is going to make me angry and lash out? I'm not getting angry and lashing out, am I? So I've proved you wrong there again. I don't believe I'm taken for a ride. How much money have I given Raza then? How much money do you think I've given him? What has he actually taken from me? 0. Not a penny. Do you know what? He's never asked me for anything. If he's a con man and you believe he's taken me for a ride, why is he not demanding things from me? Are you sure he's a con man? Whatever this free energy community is, whether it's KeelyNet, whether it's the anti-gravity people, whether it's Andrew Johnson and his dwindling collection of arse kissers, which free energy community are you talking about? And has this free energy community, even more important, whatever community it is, has it ever subjected Raza to a tribunal? Not a na, I say he's bad. A proper tribunal. Answer those questions, Musketeer. I don't think you can you? Okay, it looks like my video is ready. That's I've already just processing the last one, so yeah, it is. Lie your way out of this situation. Charles, all right, by what? Okay, we go. That's good. That's another one done. Okay, so. And now we go to York and Booth Illicit. Oh, Booth Illicit is back. Long time no see, Boother. How you doing, comrade? Boother says here on York. Your travelling videos were always my favourite. I'm glad you've kept the same style since you first started and withstood the temptation to change your style in an effort to be more popular or gain revenue. I really respect that. Thanks, Boother. You know, I've often thought that, you know, because I've noticed other people changing their style, and I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that I don't, you know, I do this as a hobby. I mean, Steve Mumling says, call this, oh, just a hobby, and yeah, it is. It is literally just that. It's a hobby. But it's one that I take very seriously, and I've dedicated my life to, like I expect. We should meet one day, old friend, for a couple of good pints. What an articulate, knowledgeable and delightful guide Lily was. She was, wasn't she? Yeah, Boother, I'd be glad to meet you sometime, mate. And Lily was great, yes. She really was, as you say, articulate, knowledgeable and delightful. She really, really is, yeah. Okay, Supernatural Oxford. This is an old one. Tor Engen. Yes, to be burned alive is painful. The hair melt as plastic and it's painful. I have had that kind of experience. If you have one heart attack, you cannot breathe. Oh dear. You've had your hair burn. Oh dear, I'm sorry about that. You cannot breathe. It takes your breath away. I have experience of that one too. You've had a heart attack. Sorry. Yeah, having a heart attack's horrible. Not only is it very, 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 very worrying because it can very easily kill you, but it's very, you find yourself suffocating. There's terrible chest pains. It's been described as agonizing angina, really, really bad ones, yeah. So I'm sorry about that, Tor. I hope you're better now. Tor continues, when you are drowning, you can hear music. I noticed that many easy ago. If you press with index finger on the head, you can hear music. For me, it was classic, not Benny Hill. You press your finger on your head and you can hear music. Or when you're drowning. The thing is, when you're drowning, it's possible when you're drowning, you obviously, with many of these causes of death, like with drowning, it's essentially hypoxia, asphyxia, which is a form of asphyxia. You can very often experience like a hypoxic euphoria, which can produce symptoms which are not like the near-death experience, but they're very, very unusual, strange, not unpleasant experiences. People have described it as being quite nice. Although I'm sure those people are pleased to have been able to come back from the brink and live again. This is the Day the Earth Stood Still Watch Party live stream. Ravenhill of the Haunted Carnival, 1968. Hello, Ravenhill. How are you? Says here, evening, Ben. I just watched the old black and white series Maigret, 1961. Did you ever watch it? This episode is about Maigret suspects the accused is actually innocent. Good stuff. All right, yeah, I did watch the series of Maigret with Michael Gambon, which I think was made in the 80s or 90s. That was good, but I've not watched the original Maigret series, and it's a good detective story. Yeah, about it's about a detective from Paris, I believe. He's in Paris. The Day the Earth Stood Still, Bernie Tucker. Good evening, Ben. I love your videos. You are the new great Sir Patrick Moore with your knowledge and with your knowledge and enthusiasm. Keep up the good work, sir. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you very much. I'm the new Patrick Moore. I need a monocle, don't I? And on tonight's programme, we're going to talk about Uranus, because there are rings around Uranus, there are moons behind Uranus, so we'll be probing into Uranus. Uranus is a gas giant. Sorry, I just splattered the lens there. Is it alright? Yeah. The Day the Earth Stood Still, Matt. Thanks for keeping it real, mate. Oh, you're welcome, Matt. I'm glad you enjoyed that, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Day the Earth Stood Still. Oh, we have a 9 minutes in. Classic Bemlyn. Bemlyn. That's Matthew Williams' name for me.
Oh, Tessa saw it in the theatres back then. Tessa, how old are you? My goodness. Tessa must be ancient. No offence, Tessa, but
yeah. Oh, thanks, Rick. Yeah. Bemlyn. And Matthew Williams said he called me He used to call me Bemlyn when we did Mindset. Lisa Cry Freedom says on Day the Earth Stood Still. Sorry, I missed it. Watching now. Not to worry, Lisa. Hope you enjoy it. Boothlicit says on Ukraine Breaking the Silence. Kulaks were landowners and employers. They were not poor. The people that worked for them were. All right. I also found out, incidentally, not all the kulaks were Ukrainian either. There were many in southern Russia as well. But if I remember rightly, they were not. I can't remember. I used to be a trade. I used to be very left wing, a bit like you, Booth. I was actually a trade unionist when I was a teenager. Not for very long, but I do remember hearing about Bolsheviks and things like that. But I don't have the information in my head now, so you might be right. The day the Earth stood still. Control Voice says, that's a new someone I don't remember, but welcome, Control Voice. I don't remember seeing your comments before. The day the excuse me, the day the Earth stood still is based on a short story called Farewell to the Master. I haven't read the story, but I read a brief description of it in Keep Watching the Skies, the science fiction movies of the 1950s. In the story, it's revealed that that spoiler, Gort is actually the Master and Klaatu is his assistant. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Control Voice, I think in the live stream this did come up, this issue about who is actually in charge here and whether the relationship between Gort and Klaatu. And it turned out that, as many people have pointed out, Gort is actually not under Klaatu's charge. They're kind of working together. And Klaatu is actually not... Klaatu has come to warn the Earth, not because of what he plans to do to the Earth, but what Gort and the other, I forgot what they call them now, the creatures who deal with these planets, could do to the Earth. So yeah. So I've not read the story, but it sounds interesting. A lot of good science fiction comes from short stories, doesn't it? Because They Live is based on a short story. What was another one? There was another really great sci-fi movie. What's it called? This Island Earth. That's based on a short story too. New Probe, Tor Engen. Pity it has so much echo. Yeah, that's the sports hall. Advice is to put some curtains up to block the sound. I remember we used that on Windows to stop the sound at our studio when I was a teen. Still, we also add carpets on the floor and foam rubber on the walls. It does help actually to do that. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a studio, you need that sort of thing. I mean, what a lot of amateur broadcasters use egg boxes. I mean, the classic thing is the pirate radio station with the egg boxes taped to the wall because they're very good. They're very good at sound baffling. Yeah. The day the Earth was still. Mel Browning. Queen Elizabeth II is indeed an old lady, not a shape-shifting reptilian alien lizard. Well, I think she's both, Mel Browning. Perhaps Prince Harry has ginger hair because of his uncle, Earl Spencer. I think under Mendel's laws, it's more likely to be his father. And there's other reasons to think that about Harry's paternity. It's to do with his mother's relationship with her husband, which was very unhappy. They were both trapped in arranged marriages, and also her relationships with other men, including Tim Hewitt. James Hewitt? Not everything is a conspiracy, Ben, says Mel Browning. I know, Mel, I know. I know the Earth is not flat. Alex Jones is not Bill Hicks. Lewis Hamilton is not Barack Obama's son. I know, I really do. I've really enjoyed your YouTube channel over the years, but I'm escaping the rabbit hole these days. Is there anything that you used to believe in that you don't anymore? Oh, right, okay, all right. But I'm glad you enjoy it, Mel. I do, and thanks for posting. If you're escaping the rabbit hole, I'm not going to stand in your way. I will. Obviously, I have different opinions, and I'm willing to discuss any point you wish to discuss with me. Like the Queen being a shape-shifting reptilian alien lizard, I'm happy to debate that with you. Skeptics and conspiratorial people, both sides make converts from the other. As I said in my skeptic video, some people do sometimes change their minds about something that's very fundamental to their lives. Atheists become religious people lose their faith and become atheists, etc., etc. So, could I become a skeptic? Could I escape from the rabbit hole? Is it possible? Theoretically, yes. I don't completely discount the fact that one day I might become a skeptic. However, I think it's unlikely in my case because I am familiar with their arguments. The people who tend to do that, the people who change their minds about UFO paranormal conspiracy stuff, ironically, they tend to be the people who are originally most indoctrinaire, who are not familiar with the other side of the story. So when the other side of the story hits them, they don't have the mental capacity to analyze it. They just feel betrayed. What I used to believe in, I don't anymore. I used to think the Earth was hollow and there was like an inner sun and things like that. I don't believe that anymore. What else was there? I used to believe 5G was dangerous. I don't anymore. At least I'm to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that. But I'm not as on the bandwagon as I'm not on that particular train as now that I used to be. I'm not completely anti 5G the way I used to be. I'm now carefully assessing both sides of the evidence. I don't believe the Pizzagate thing. I did briefly get into it, and I don't believe it anymore. What else is there? Let me just think. Of course, the classic one is Boris Johnson. You've seen the videos where I praise him. I even made a video saying why I still support Boris. Well, obviously, I'd have to be insane to support him now after what he's done. He's completely off the Boris train. Charles says here underneath, I agree. Okay. New probe Snarnock says the underside of Oxford Station platform roof looks like it's made of asbestos. I'll have to check that out. I'm not sure, but I think you can't. I don't think you can make things out of asbestos now. I think it's illegal. Snarnock says on New Probe again, what did you think of the description of the alien rubbing its head on the woman's coat and enjoying the sensation in Tony Dodd's book? Probably the only laugh aloud moment I've read about in this serious subject. It was rather amusing, that one, Snarnock. Yeah, I mean, it's there's not much to laugh at in that book. The book is actually quite disturbing. Later on, it actually gets pretty scary. I came away from it thinking, ooh, And Snarnock says on New Probe here, did you get any reactions from the public on the train, etc., with what was said on your T-shirt? One guy behind the counter, I think it was at the cafe in. No, it was actually the Witherspoons when I had breakfast. He asked me if I was a communist. I said, no, this is ironic. I said, this hammer and sickle thing is ironic. Snarnock says on New Probe, those fairies, quote unquote, were probably a load of winged insects that died behind that wall. I think, well, again, this question of the dead fairies in Bristol, I'll have to ask Neil about that. But, insects and dead fairies are different. Aerial phenomenon live stream. David's blended isolation. The aerial school encounter absolutely happened. This can't be rationally denied through pseudo-skeptics because though the pseudo-skeptics tried because of their prerequisite acceptable conclusions. Those kids witnessed a silver disc land and two black humanoids walk and run around the area and stop to look at them. Black body, white heads, large black eyes. This was an encounter with over 50 children at a distance of approximately 100 yards to 20 yards, with enough detail to discern something extremely unusual, otherworldly, and absolutely out of the norm of human experience. Correct, David, in a nutshell. Mel Browning said, I agree with you as far as the children witnessed an extraordinary event. None of us were there that day, so we can only speculate. Mel, effectively that's true. No one took a photograph, did they? If they did, Steve Mumling would say it was fake. It was either an elaborate hoax or aliens actually did land in a spacecraft. Mel, I don't think hoaxes can get that elaborate. For reasons I explain, the number of children, the fact they stuck to their story, the consistency, things like that. It wouldn't be too difficult to freak out some school kids with a few movie props, alien costumes, and lighting effects. What about a minibus, Mel Browning? How about a guy in a wetsuit? Children's imaginations would run wild after an event like that. Maybe this was some sort of psychological experiment. You mean some kind of, they're testing the kids to see how they would react to an alien invasion. But you can't rule that out, actually. You can't. This ties in again with the nature of disclosure, the nature of how governments are interested in our response to this particular phenomenon. So, yeah, definitely. David Smith says in reply to Mel, yeah, I mean, I went to a show last week. Now, either this guy on stage chopped up a very attractive lady in many different places before putting her back together, or it was a hoax. There are hundreds of us seeing it, so it can't be denied. Yeah, the interesting thing about your sarcasm, David, is it's actually I don't object to your sarcasm. It's all right. Now, you obviously went to see a magic show. You went to see a magic show where there's a magician, a guy who's not magic. Doesn't have any supernatural powers, but he can fool people with illusion. And there are thousands of different ways of creating really believable illusions. And I find magicians fascinating. I just watch them and think, wow, how do they do that? I mean, I know they're not really cutting women in half. I know they're not really pulling rabbits out of hats. I know that sort of thing, okay? I know that's the case. But I just think, and I do sit and I wonder if I can work out exactly how they do it, and I do go, wow. This wasn't a stage, though. This wasn't a theatre. This was a school in a very out-of-the-place area outside a big city. If someone's going to stage some kind of magic show, as Mel described, with movie props, lighting effects, alien costumes, there'd have to be a good reason for it. There would have to be a very good reason for it. And if it could be. I can't rule that out. I think it's more likely to be a genuine extraterrestrial experience, but you can't rule that out. Same video, David Splendid Isolation says, remember, Ben, that these people aren't genuine skeptics, they are pseudo-skeptics. Well, depending on your terminology, David, yes. I mean, if you define the people I call skeptics as pseudo-skeptics, then technically you and I are skeptics. They approach all these matters with acceptable and unacceptable conclusions. Yeah. They make themselves into noise, and we waste far too much time addressing their incessant irrationality. I tend to stick to addressing genuine skeptics. Well, Steve, I said Steve. Freudian slip there. Steve, yes. Steve, you see, I don't think it's a waste of time addressing their incessant irrationality. You can actually, you see, for example, when I respond to Steve mumbling, I'm not really addressing him. I'm addressing the people watching this video. I'm actually talking to the audience. I'm talking to them. Look, here's a skeptic. He's denying this, and he's saying this is not true, etc., etc. And I'm explaining to you why he's wrong. I'm not trying to change Steve's mind. That's impossible. I don't think anything could change Steve's mind. Aerial phenomenon. John Nolan says, Ben, you have to say UAPs, not you. Oh, bugger. So it just. Oh, God's sake! Hang on a second. Hang on. I completely lost the page. You have to say UAPs rather than UFOs, is what he was saying. Now, I know that that this term UAP has just emerged, John. I do. The thing about the term UAP is unidentified aerial phenomenon. This actually dates back to Britain from Project Condign, I think, in the 80s or 90s or something. The thing is, UFO. Yeah, but I still say UFO. I know UFO just sounds a bit crazy. It's associated with loonies like me. And as I said, the Robertson panel in 1952 and 3 created that term UFO so they wouldn't have to say flying saucer for the same reason. And then we loonies culturally appropriated UFO. I think we should now say, I think UAP or UFO is both acceptable, but I do hope that we will have to culturally appropriate UAP as well, which means that AIM-SOG will have to come up with something new. God knows what they'll call them. I think it's very ironic, John, that UAP and UFO, what they stand for, unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomena, it's essentially the same thing. These words are just synonyms of each other, and they have a different acronym. Which, to me, it's a bit pointless why they changed it. Okay, Aerial Phenomena live stream, Stephen Truthseeker. Ben, it wasn't a riot at the Champions League final. It was the authorities deliberately not doing their job and helping to create the chaos. I know that now, Steve. I know. Jeff Sperry has commented, and I can't see Jeff's comment. French police not fit for the job. Anyway, it's UEFA whose job it is to oversee everything, and UEFA clearly arranged it so that this situation came about. It wouldn't be the first time UEFA have conspired to make Liverpool look as bad as they possibly could. And Jeff Sperry says something, and Stephen says, Stephen, who is that? Yeah, Steve, they are actually issued an apology to the Liverpool fans now. Now, that doesn't make up for it. I think they deserve some money, quite frankly, as well as a refund. But it was awful. There was these gate crashes just pushing through, and security were just letting them do it. Paul Joseph Watson's video on the subject shows that. The Day the Earth Stood Still Watch Party livestream, Charles Scott. The evidence supports Mel Browning's comment, and even Ben agrees with Gareth Davis that it's pure speculation that certain people living on Earth are shape-shifting reptilians. Ben gives the misleading impression that it's true, when he should be saying it's speculation. I may present the evidence soon, which indicates it's not true, and some of Ben's evidence is actually speculation, and nullifies itself, such there is no argument saying reptilian shapeshifting is etheric or physical. Right, Charles, be my guest, bring it on. Present this evidence. As for me giving a misleading impression to say it's true, I've never said it's provable, but I do think it's true. Yeah, and I don't think that's misleading. I present reasons why I think it's true. It would be misleading if I said I think it's true when I think it's not. Crafty Nihilist. Oh, this is on aerial phenomenon and there's a timestamp. All right, Illuminati Ben. What's this?
And out from last night's live stream, because if I didn't, it would just the two might look too much the same. So I sort of I posted myself sitting sideways like that, looking sort of romantic.
Oh, thanks, Crafty. Aerial phenomenon. Henry Vick. Afternoon, Ben. I was thinking the same sort of thing. Also, check your emails. Henry, I did see your comment. Henry, I can't see. I had a look through my emails. What? Could you just email me again? I'm very sorry. I looked through my emails. I couldn't see you. I don't know why that was. I checked my spam folder too. Could you do it again? But thank you very much. Thanks for getting in touch. I think I know who you are, actually. Someone has mentioned you. I think you were at the Swansea UFO Network, if I'm correct. Right, I can now see Jeff Sperry. I don't know why that is. He's now visible. Anyway, Jeff Sperry says, very interesting indeed, Ben. I believe this story, as those children would have admitted in their adult life if they were lying at the time. Oh, yes, I think so too, Jeff. Yeah, that's only one of many reasons to believe them, and I'm glad you find that interesting. Thanks. The Day the Earth Stood Still, John Taylor. We boated him because his mother paid 12 million because they are a family of nonces. They always get booed, right? Oh, John Taylor, right? Actually, you were there, were you? We booed him because his mother paid 12 million because they're a family of nonces. They always get booed by Liverpool fans. I see, right? That explains it. Thanks, John. Thanks, John. That's why Prince William was booed. Yeah, it's to do with the awful reputation the royal family have with Prince Andrew and other things. Yeah. Aerial phenomenon live stream. Gary Robinson says, "Hey Ben, mate, I really enjoyed this. I listened to it over 2 nights while going to sleep, and it crept me out, lol. Crept me out, lol. Crept. I don't know that word, but I'm glad, Gary. Thank you. Surprise, surprise. The skeptic declines to bypass the evidence and focuses entirely on other things in order to make his case. Yep. When you listen to John Mack's interviews with those children, there's no denying they experienced something. Despite this, the skeptic tells us that John Mack had problems at work because this whole thing is a hoax. If that's not good enough, he also adds there were UFO sighting reports in the local news, so that must explain it as well. Honestly, why do these people bother? Why do they care so much? Gary, I think people like Brian Dunning just can't bear the thought that they live in a universe where we're not alone. They have a living universe. I think it's as simple as that. It is literally an emotional attachment to these things not being true. They don't want them not to be true. They need them not to be true. Aerial Phenomena live stream. Gary Robinson. Ben mate, this is completely off topic, but recently I've had a couple of bizarre dreams which felt very real to the point of being disturbing, and I think you might find them interesting. In one of them, I was in a crowd of people in my hometown in England, and the police were controlling the crowd with small batons that created an invisible barrier. Attempting to cross the barrier gave me the sensation of being pushed back by an incredibly strong force, which also caused a certain amount of pain. What was very scary was that it also hurt my mind at the same time. That dream was quite short, but at the same time it was very real and left quite an impact on me because of the emotions that I felt, and also because of the pain and discomfort. The second dream I had involved people being rounded up and sent to medical facilities. Let me do the first dream first, Gary. The policeman with a barrier and the sensation of being pushed back. Very scary. I don't know. Can't analyse that one. But he says here, but it had emotions. Yeah, very often dreams do, and pain and discomfort. Dreams often. That's what I remember most from dreams. Actually, it's not details, because very often details seem to evade me. I had a real dream last night that I lost something and I was looking for it everywhere. But it was what I remember best is the fear and the worry of losing it. The second dream I had involved people being rounded up and sent to medical facilities that sat on top of very tall towers looking out over the countryside. I had the understanding that placing them on very high and the very thin towers made it impossible to escape. I suppose you would expect that. Yeah, that's understandable. Inside these facilities, people were rounded up and made to go into a row where they were blasted by some kind of rays. They were told it was good for their health and that it would cure them of disease. It was my feeling that they were being damaged by the process and I was trying to escape. The dream ended with me talking to a guy who had just come from being blasted. He looked right at me and he was crying when he told me that the process hurt very badly. His brain hurt the most. Most of the people were pretending to be happy and they had the process and were also pretending they felt okay. It's been weeks since I had those dreams and they're still very vivid in my mind. I better start sleeping with my tinfoil hat and chastity belts. Oh dear. Maybe you shouldn't. Gary, you did mention you listened to my show while going to sleep. You watched my. So maybe that's what causes these things. But that sounds very frightening. It reminds me a little bit of the Caretaker, that play by Harold Pinter, where the guy you know there's something wrong with him, and he comes forward and admits that he had some kind of weird medical treatment, electric shock therapy to his brain and things like that. But that's really scary. That is, yeah, that's really scary. And I just hope that's not. I hope that's not a precognitive dream, Gary. But thanks for sharing that with us. Much appreciated. Aerial Phenomenon live stream. JMH says Ben believes so many conspiracy theories. He starts making up his own, like the Queen sending a double to a horse show for reasons. You know what they say about having a mind that is too open, but it's not to be too open-minded, so your brain falls out. Ha 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 ha. JMH. Ha 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 ha. I've got another one for you, right? Plural. Sorry. The plural of anecdotes is not data. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary explanations. Oh, that's the end of the hour. Okay, do remember to write those down, right, JMH? Write down those things I just said so that you can go to your skeptic meetings and wow everyone with your originality and your wit. As for the making, I don't think I made up that conspiracy theory about the Queen, because if you suggest that she's really not around, and supposing she's died already and they want to cover it up, what would they do? Cancel the Jubilee, say she's gone, maybe it's not the right time. You would employ an actress to look like her, and then to turn up late and to turn up at various events pretending to be her, wouldn't you? I think so. Anyway, that's the end of the hour, guys. Back shortly. Okay, I'm back. I'm back again. So we now have JMH, who says here, Ben is a gold medalist in mental gymnastics and comes off as personally attacked when dealing with any evidence that does not agree with his everything is aliens worldview. Try applying Occam's razor for once in a while. I don't know what to say. Of all the people you accuse of feeling personally attacked when dealing with any evidence that does not agree with my everything is aliens worldview, you accuse me, somebody who has read skeptic books, engages with the skeptics, has friendly relationships with skeptics, who regularly deals with people who don't agree with my everything is aliens worldview, and can sort of like spend hours talking to them in a very friendly manner. Of all the people you accuse of mental gymnastics and coming off as personally attacked, and you accuse me of that? Do you really think you're being fair? And try applying Occam's razor for once. The thing is, JMH, Occam's razor is a problem-solving exercise that says the most likely explanation is usually the correct one, yet it can only be used really for known systems. So, for example, if your radio breaks down, the most likely explanation is the battery is simply flat. So try changing the battery before you start opening it up and sticking a screwdriver in and fiddling with its innards. On the other hand, if you if you know the system, that's what you do within known systems. That's what you do. The problem with the things like aliens is we don't know how often aliens arrive, as opposed to other explanations. Trained Air Force security police mistaking a lighthouse for a spaceship. So how often do real aliens come to Earth, as opposed to, as I said, trained Air Force security police mistaking a lighthouse for a spaceship? Until we have we need, where do we assign these things on the hierarchy of likelihoods? Because until we have actual data that reveals that, we can't apply Occam's razor to it. So I don't know whether it's more likely or not that everything is aliens. And thing is, I don't believe everything is aliens, do I? Again, that's another misrepresentation you've made of me. Do you want to add any more to the list? Now, Steve Mumbling says here on Aerial Phenomenon live stream. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Minibus, the minibus. Okay. I haven't seen Aerial Phenomenon yet. Wait, I'll wait till it's free. The arguments I made are valid. None of the students mentioned the ecological stuff when first interviewed by South African UFO researcher Cynthia Hind. Well, that's because maybe they were in a group. Cynthia's methods were very different to John Mack's. She had them all in groups. Maybe that's why they didn't bring it up. This only occurred after John Mack turned up. That is not evidence that John Mack planted those ideas in his head. That's supposition. That doesn't take into account other possibilities, such as the situation they were in, which is different. None of the teachers saw. Oh, also the fact that children, maybe over the 2 months, the children had time to think about it some more, things like that. None of the teachers saw anything. Well, they were having a staff meeting inside the building. If they had seen anything, you'd say they were crazy. Just like you say that about Mr. Greenwood, don't you, about the Westall School? You see, if the teachers had seen something, you'd just have raised the bar, wouldn't you? All of the kids' drawings show the spacecraft as being between the trees below the tree canopy, as though it had been driven along the ground. One kid even drew the double doors at the front of the vehicle, typical of a Toyota coaster minibus, a common vehicle in South Africa at that time. The aliens were described as being expressionless, as if they were wearing masks, because they were wearing masks. The kids were pranked. They weren't doing the pranking. Next caller, please. All right. What can I say, Steve, and to anyone watching? I've made a video called Rua, a reply to Steve Mumbling. It's on my channel. I made it a couple of years ago. Please do check that out, because Steve is talking total bollocks here. He's talking absolute nonsense. He's talking utter piffle, to use his expression. He's spruiking a steaming pile, to use his expression. And Cynthia. Now we're on to Cynthia. Oh, we have here some more spam. I'll just get rid of it. TK says on Cynthia, but I thought the NHS were trying to kill everyone, so how come you support the air ambulance? I don't get it. But the air ambulance, they're not. The NHS are not trying to kill everyone. The government are using the NHS to introduce the means to reduce the population. This doesn't mean that if you have a car crash and you break both legs on the motorway, you should say that you shouldn't go into hospital. I think you're polarising things a bit, TK. I think you're taking a statement I made and you're sort of like applying it to everything. Social dilemma on St. Theo. Hey, Trevor, good day, Brother Porter. Pride and dignity, Brother Porter. Happy St. Theo's Day to you. That social dilemma is Trevor Murray. He's my co-host on Third Rail Radio. And he says it's shocking that charity organisations won't take cash. I know, bloody hell. They don't know what they're leaving. They don't know what they're missing, do they? Rod said, would they turn down £1,000 cash for a direct debit? I wonder if they could resist the temptation. By the way, if my voice or speech sounds funny, I've cut my tongue. It's a bit painful. Oh, Trevor says, oh my God, Ben, did you ever hit the nail on the head with the personality types in portering? Yeah, oh yeah. Exactly. And he said, Trevor carries on, here in hospitals I worked in at Canada, portering was outsourced to the corporation called Sodexo. Oh God, Sodexo. It sounds bloody awful, Trevor. I've never heard of them, but they sound damn awful. They always have silly, jaunty names like that. Rich San says, as opposed to Poor San. Rich San says, on the drinking. Britain has an all-encompassing drinking culture, so that certainly doesn't help. Booze is on TV all the time, pubs and bars everywhere, even if half of them are now Tesco's extras. But I think the biggest reason for regular sustained drinking is boredom and loneliness. A sad state of affairs. It is very rich. Yeah, obviously it's not just confined to hospital portering. I think the alcohol in hospital portering plays a unique role within our culture and our psyche. But of course, it is a legal, taxable drug that everyone, unfortunately, is encouraged to indulge in. Gary Robinson says in Cynthia's, when I was a kid, I worked for Mighty Cleaners as an after-school job. So they are scumbags. Oh man, yeah, I'm glad it was only for a short time and after school, Gary. I mean, honestly, they are. I mean, from what I hear, they all are. All these public sector contractors are scumbags, because they can be. It's a kind of role that attracts the sort of lowest of the low in terms of businesses, because they don't have to compete. There's no free market for them to compete in. They basically have to. The only thing they have to do is apply for tenders for certain contracts, and they don't even have to compete with other companies supplying different tenders, because they know all they have to do is pay off the people making the decision. In the public sector, there's so much corruption that it doesn't matter how bad the job they do, or even what their tender's like. They just do it they sort of submit the tender for old time's sake, but then they just give a backhander to whoever makes the decision. They did this with Mediclean with us. Oh, I'm glad you're not with them anymore, mate. Tor Engen says on Aerial Phenomenon livestream, and it looks a little like, what's this? Saw the aerial phenomenon. Okay, one. Noticed that it was life-changing experience, not only for the children. Yeah, I should have mentioned that actually, Tor. What, especially little Emily, or Big Emily, as she was later on. It really transformed her life. I mean, she does artwork depicting aliens and flying saucers. And also it was a life-changing experience for some of the teachers and the parents too, because they knew these children. You know? I see the problem about interviewing in groups. It should be done one by one and then in a group. Since in a group, in case they can remember things they've forgotten. Yeah, that's the group can help in that case. Yeah, to help jog memories and things like that. But the children do have to be interviewed separately. This is why Cynthia Hine did it wrong. Oh, Cynthia's UK. Abatawi man, someone from Swansea, obviously. Hi Ben, I recently watched a British film from 1989 called Paper Mask. It's about a hospital porter taking the identity of a doctor after he died. It stars Paul McGann. I actually put in a text reply to this guy because it was only yesterday. Poor you. If you watch my video called Worst Movies, A Hospital Porter Reacts, you'll see my review of that film in detail. Yeah. Suffice to say, it is the worst film I've ever seen in my entire life. Gary Robinson says, Hi Ben, mate, I enjoyed this one. In regards to alcohol, mate, I've always been really into my Belgian beers, mainly Leffe and Maratsu and the Duchess of Bourgogne. Yeah, Leffe is kind of wheat beer, isn't it? I don't like that very much. But the other two, I think I've had Maratsu. I've not had Duchess of Bourgogne, but yeah, they're generally quite nice. Stella, of course, is the classic one. Oh, is that French or Belgium? I can't remember. And usually I have a few at the weekend and a couple in the week while I'm cooking dinner. Yeah. Ever since my wife came back from her ayahuasca retreat, I can no longer face drinking alcohol. Really? Because I remember earlier in the program you were talking about her. You shared that experience she had with ayahuasca, which is very, very good of her to do. I can no longer face drinking alcohol. I had been saying to myself for some time that I wanted to cut right back, but I wasn't able to. She believes it's possible that her taking the ayahuasca has had an effect on me somehow. Yeah, that's interesting. Obviously, you got a bond. You're in love. You have a bond, and somehow maybe that's it, Gary. Yeah. The shaman did tell her that it was used for treating drug and alcohol abuse. Yes, the classic example, Graham, is sorry, I called you Graham. Gary is Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock talks about he was abusing cannabis. I mean, really, not like just smoking all the time like Hugo Rune does, because it's his medication. He was like really, and he had a serious problem with cannabis, and it was affecting his marriage and things like that. And the ayahuasca cured him of that. It can be used that way. I mean, Stanislav Grof, the famous psychiatrist, he actually suggested that. He suggested using LSD to treat addiction problems and other mental illnesses. Long short story. A few days after she came back, I had a couple of bottles of Leffy Blonde while cooking dinner, and I started to feel unwell as soon as I drank the second bottle, and I was still feeling bad the next day. Since then, I cannot stand even to look at a bottle of beer. If I see someone drinking alcohol on film or TV show, it makes me cringe. Is it possible that the ayahuasca had an effect on me, even though it was my wife who took it? Yes. Do study Graham Hancock's story about how he recovered from his cannabis addiction. He says something similar about because he used to his preparation was to vaporize it, and he had a vaporizer. He used to create vape, and he went to breathe it, and he just couldn't bear to breathe it. It was like it was like a real repulsion. And he was the one who took the ayahuasca, but oh wow, yeah. His wife Santha, maybe she had a similar story to tell as you. So that's interesting. Gary, have you ever thought about going to this retreat yourself? Cynthia, Crafty Nice has said you definitely made a video with Nick about his Bigfoot experience, Ben. Yes, Crafty, thank you very much. I did actually check it out. I actually checked it out afterwards, and so I thought, it's called The Beast of Lye Valley, and I did make it. I took Nick down. We went down there, yeah. So thank you very much. I did. It's funny, I can't even remember what my own videos were. Okay, so that is all the comments so far on YouTube. I'm now going to go to BitChute and go through my comments on BitChute. Now, there's one on the Secrets of Newbury. I know. Maybe that's the only one. I don't know. Let's just check. I can't remember which is it, the second one or the first one. Oh, now come on, hang on. It's in Newbury. It was on one. I think it may have been the Secrets of Newbury 2. Here we go. A month ago. No, it's not this one. No, that one. It must be the other one. It must be the original. Let's have a look. Because I made a note because I saw it on BitChute. No, it's not there. Okay, I'm going to have to go through all my comments. Alright, where's BitChute? Hang on. Alright, where's the BitChute page? Okay, I'm going to go through... No, I'm going to have to... No, not through all. I'm going to have to go through all the notifications on BitChute. Luckily, the comments ones stand up quite easily because they are slightly larger when it says new video. I've got lots of new video. When I see new comment, it's like a slightly bigger box. So I'll just go through these now. Let's have a look. Go through them. Here we go. New comment, Steiner Schools. Right. That's an old one. Another old video. SDTJ87, interesting name, says my aunt teaches at the Waldorf Academy. Her children couldn't read into late pubescence. Not a fan myself. All right. And SDT87 also says underneath, maybe the skeptics are the cult. From the cult member. Yeah, well, I do. As I said, I have made comparisons between skeptics, very radical skeptics, and the extreme cult behavior. So, yeah. But anyway, maybe, I don't know. I can't remember much about this video. I know people who've been to Waldorf schools and they've had very good experiences. Others, not so much. But, if they can't read and write in late pubescence, well, to be honest, a lot of kids who go to government state schools can't read when they're that age either. I think we've got 4 million illiterates in this country, and the government doesn't seem all that keen on teaching them. So maybe why do you need to read when all you're going to be used for is doing some kind of simple job, like an epsilon in Brave New World? So maybe it's not a particularly bad feature of Steiner schools. Maybe it's just the way we're dosed up with all kinds of things. We're dosed up with aspartame and things like that, and that's how it affects us. All right, Bob Lazar. Okay, I've got the Bob Lazar movie live stream. Now, another old one. Avalon Deja Vu, that's a good name, says, DUMS, Deep Underground Military Bases. The secret space program is said to be in the mountains in Colorado. Glenwood Springs, I believe. Oh, really? Oh, and he says here, Avalon also says here, oh, what's the recent Tesla film? I never knew he worked at Glenwood Springs, Colorado, too. Yeah, in fact, Avalon, I've actually written an entire review of the film Tesla. It's very, very, very worth seeing. It's very much worth seeing. Oops, it's very worth seeing. He did. He worked in several places like that. Not at the Dome, though. Okay, scrolling down a bit more. Okay, we're getting now to 6 days ago, going down further. There's only like about 400 comments I've got to, or it's 400 notifications I've got to go through. I immediately spot all the, the comments when they, here we go, jet fuel hoax. Alright, where are we now? Oh, 2 years ago, a year ago. Oh, we've got loads. Oh, there's some old ones. Oh, it was 17 days ago. I've got some from 17 days ago. DanDark471 says, very interesting video. I'm a little off topic. Maybe you can recommend me some sites where I can see the maps of the seats of the BAE 146 aircraft. I'm planning a trip soon and would like to find the best places myself. And Sipobav 119 says here, the BA 146 is a fairly small commercial aircraft. From personal experience, I can say it's a pleasure to fly. I usually try to pre-select seats for myself on the plane. Usually I take seats somewhere on the opposite the wing and by the window. Seat map BA 146, you can see for yourself. Alright, so someone else answered that question for this individual. Thank you very much, Sipobav. Okay, we're going. That's an old video. There's already lots of comments on there because a lot of flat earthers saying I was wrong and stuff like that. Go down a bit further, and I think we're nearly at the end now. Okay, yep, that's it. Okay, that's BitChute done. Now on to, let me just check something. Let's check Odyssey. Okay, notifications on Odyssey. Now, I had a notification a little while ago. I mean, they only go down so far. Let's see. How do you get older notifications? Home following premium featured pop culture. Right. I think I did have an old notification on you. All right. It appears I don't have any comments here on Odyssey. I'll just check through my recent uploads just in case. Since the last comments, okay, US congressional hearing live stream. Now, someone did leave me a comment on Rumble. Okay, no comments. New probe. I think it was on my laptop. I saw something. I'll have to check.
That the next.
Oh, Shelley of the Red. Oh, Shelley of the Red puts a comment on here. Good old Shelley. She says here. I'm American, and the first video I ever watched of yours was going to a probe conference. I think it was 2011 because it would have been when looking up the Americans that were in Leeds for that multinational conference. All right, that was the Leeds Exopolitics Expo, I think. Yeah. You were doing really cool background video shorts, and then the YouTube would reference your other vids. I'm nostalgic too. So glad you could do another probe and ride the old trains and such, taking us along with you. Oh, thanks, Shelley. And you know what? That's the kind of what I wanted. You know, I wanted to give the viewer what it feels like to be there kind of thing. You know, it's that kind of vibe I want to project. So I'm glad you like that, Shelley. Thanks. I did put in a text reply to you when I said it was probe. I think what you're describing is Leeds is probably more likely the Leeds Exopolitics Expo, which is absolutely the best. God, I think it must be one of the best conferences I've ever been to. Yeah. And Shelley says here, I've loaded your videos here. Good thinking. I put your YouTube ones into ET and movie watching playlists. So thanks, Shelley. Shelley actually has put this on her channel, so I appreciate that much, Shelley. Shelley of the Red. Daydeer stood still. I think I'll have to check the laptop for any old. No comments. Aerial Phenomena live stream. No comments. And St. Theo, finally St. Theo.
Well, of course, it is
No
this
comments.
day. This day, the feast of St. Theobald
Right.
of Ruggiero.
And now finally Rumble. I'll go to Rumble. Now finally someone did leave me a comment on Rumble. What was it? Oh dear. It's. Did you get? I got notifications from. Oh, here we go. Oh, right, here we go. This is Bilbo 2000 says on Rumble. That was it. Because the thing is, I know this person from YouTube, from Facebook as well. Oh, it looks like. All right. I'll post. It looks like you posted this comment before. Okay, there we go. I posted that comment before too. Okay. How about that? Okay. Enjoy the show, Ben. I think you might like the new video on this subject on third phase of the moon on YouTube. The guest is Stephen Greer talking about the hearing. He explains how he knows that they were lying about not being privy to information on any of the famous UFO cases. He has all the documents on the Wilson meeting, for example, and was personally involved in it. His group has been given all this type of information to members of Congress, etc. Has given all this type. He's now compiling a massive selection of documents, etc., to members of the US government. Really interesting, Ben. Shows just what a complete setup these hearings are. Lying through their teeth as usual. I've never trusted this scenario developed by the Lou Elizondo lot. Such a joke, and he's still with the CIA. It looks like they have now pulled him back as the front man for this movement. Also, watch Dark Journalist's last YouTube show. He goes into a deep dive on this subject, but also has a good video from a few months on the subject. His shows are always long shows, but he's a front of well-researched information. Thanks for your great video, Ben. You're welcome, Bilbo. You know, I've watched the third phase of the moon video with Stephen Greer. I've watched, and he does it's but I think he's incorrect. And you bring up this subject later on, which I think is where you talk about lying through their teeth. Lou Elizondo still with the CIA. We don't know that. Now, I think we have to tread a narrow path here between excessive cynicism and excessive naivety. I think it's what you said is perfectly possible. This could be a massive confidence trick. And indeed, many people assume that. Richard D. Hall, Andrew Johnson, the usual suspects, who tend to jump on the shill bandwagon very quickly. You, I think, are a more thoughtful person. You've come to this conclusion. You could be right. Yet, what I mean by treading a narrow path between excessive cynicism and excessive naivety is that if this is actually a genuine move to disclosure, if, for example, the good guys inside the system have got control of this process, Trump and Q and the other people like that, if that has happened, then we've been missing this opportunity, and this is an opportunity too important to miss. We cannot risk missing this opportunity, Bilbo. So I don't quite agree with your stance. I think you could turn out to be right. I hope not, but I think time will tell. And like I said, I've said this many times, we cannot abandon this possibility, this worrying possibility that Greer basically is promoting as the truth. And Greer is I get mixed vibes from that guy. I know we can't completely dismiss it, but let's give him. I think Elizondo and the others deserve a chance. So thanks for that. Now, let me. I'm sure I got notifications from. Do I get notifications from Rumble? There's nothing on. Okay, nothing on New Probe, and nothing on the day the Earth stood still. I'm sure I get notifications from them. Aerial phenomenon. No comments. And finally, sent Theo. No comments. Okay. Right then. So let's go back to you. I'll just go back to YouTube and do one more check. Okay, so I'll do a quick refresh on the comments and mentions section. Okay, and go to held for review. There's nothing in the spam folder. Right, so now I'll just go to the notifications here, and I'll just go through these are ones that have come up in the last few hours. David Smith says, make this one, what is it, a 7-hour reply in honour of Her Majesty, Ben. I think Lizzie the Lizard can do without my altering my schedule just for her sake. Have a lazy weekend for the Queen. Oh, I'll tell you what, I will do that, David, yes. Any excuse to have to put my feet up, whether I support Lizzie or Lizard or not. And of course, Crafty Nihilist there. I'll just go down here a little further. David Smith says here, still not uploaded. Oh, God, 5 hours ago, still not uploaded. Any problems I noticed with your aerial phenomenon video? I was unable to download it for converting to MP3. YouTube tightening the noose, maybe. No, I had a bit of problems downloading Aerial Phenomenon at first myself, even using the channel studio page. Try it now, because it did work eventually. So have another go now. It seems it was a bit of a glitch, which I have now solved. We're going down a bit further. I think that's it. Okay, so that's the end of it, guys. That's the end of it. I'll do one more quick refresh. And if there's nothing there, I'm going to call it a day. And that's it. Right, okay, so the last comment was indeed David Smith, 36 minutes ago. Alright, so that's the end of this video. I want to thank every one of you for providing these comments. It's been really, really great. As always, you know, without your comments, this video would not happen. It simply would not happen. So keep them coming. I like them all. Even the rude ones are quite amusing. So, and this is a format that everyone likes. It seems to work. It works for me. It works for you. I enjoy it. You enjoy it. So I'm going to carry on replying to your comments in this way. And if the Odyssey viewer is watching for whom I've lost the notification, I'm very sorry. I will try and track it down on my laptop, which is where I made a note of it, and I will reply to you either by text and or in the next comments reply video. So, well, what's coming up soon? Well, I thought another watch party might be in order. I've got a great idea for a film. In fact, one of you, the viewers, gave me this idea, so keep an eye out for that. I've got another UFO disclosure video coming. Yes, I am doing one this year. And also, I've got another little tete-a-tete with Rin Michaelis. So, something else should be fun to watch. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching this, the 59th comments reply video. Reply to comments 59. Much appreciated, everyone who's commented, and indeed, even if you haven't commented and you just watched. Thank you very much. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.